Hit your mark.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to NWP. I am your host this week, Eric Eastep, joined as always by Daniel Baldwin, aka Danny B Talks, dressed for the occasion. Danny, we're gonna get into it. How are you doing this week? You've had a couple days to cool off? How are you feeling?
It is what it is.
Well said. Well said. We'll get into that and more coming up. Sorry, Jarrett Lundberg is here as well, the iceberg. Jarrett, you are in your classic red and white Budweiser hat.
Oh, and something else I'm in here. Speaking of classic, I found this for like $8 at Walmart. It's a Van Halen NASCAR shirt.
Oh, ooh, that's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
I like it.
Panama.
Panama.
That's him, right? Oh, I was gonna be really embarrassed if I accidentally started singing like a AC/DC
He's singing like
song. I
Def
didn't know it.
Leppard.
Yeah, whoops. No, okay, good. All right, awesome. Good fashion sense from at least two of our four co-hosts tonight. Although Ellie Productions is here, and I'm loving what I see in the background there. Is that Daytona I see on your wall?
Yep, that's what that is. Good old stop motion racetrack. You know plenty about that.
Oh yeah, I don't know where my I only had a couple of permanent tracks, and I think they're either destroyed or in my parents' garage, like in the rafters of my parents' garage. So shout out Ellie Productions is here, fresh off another banger this week. You were telling us before the show took you inadvertently a few months, it sounds like, to get that last episode or that last video out, but it came out awesome, dude. If you haven't checked it out, link to Ellie's channel is in the description below, but it's all about the 1992 season leading up to that fantastic championship fight. How you doing this week, Ellie? It's great to have you back.
I'm doing good. This video that took me a month to make is finally out. I get to go to Cancun, figuratively, not literally, because I'm broke, but life is good.
We all need a mental trip to Cancun every now and then. Well, we have a very full show in store for y'all tonight. The round of 12 is over. The round of 8 is on deck. Before we get into Las Vegas, we've got to touch all the bases, wrap things up from the Charlotte Roval. Let's just start with the winner, because I think we all can get this out of the way in a few words or less. Kyle Larson wins, leads the most laps, 6th win of the season. Jarrett, what more can be said about Kyle Larson at this point? Were you impressed?
Yeah, it's Kyle Larson.
Kept me in
That's about
suspense.
it. I mean, like the only thing I had said that I think might like add to what I haven't said so far is it's starting to feel a little bit like the end of 21. Just saying. Not saying he's going to win it. You know, pit crew still would have to come through, but it's starting to feel a little bit like that. Sorry, I almost think there shouldn't be really anything I add to it, but, you know, gift of the gab here.
Yeah, well, I think last time he won, which was Bristol, right? We talked about how throughout the year he sort of balanced his wins. He won early in the season at Las Vegas, then a little while later wins at Sonoma, wins a couple races over the summer, wins a playoff race. But now it's like we got 2 wins in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Like, to your point, he might be heating up kind of like he did at the end of 2021. Danny, Kyle Larson wins it. I mean, he could easily win at Las Vegas this weekend. Like, how hot is Larson and the 5 team right now?
Absolutely. It is what it is in that case, too, for Kyle Larson.
It is what it is.
I think Danny is still shell-shocked a little bit. We're going to have to give him some time.
I'm just going to say this now. Some people pointed out, so I had to say it for myself. The AI chat summary is on one right now. It says, viewers are discussing a recent NASCAR race. They are expressing sympathy for driver Danny Bowman, who was involved in an accident, and sharing their thoughts on the race outcome.
That's something. Actually, on that note, though, Danny, I've completely overlooked the chat to start the show. Thank you all for being here, by the way.
I feel like an ass for asking this, but it's like, Danny, how's it feel to know once again your teammate just constantly is dominating everybody else, including your driver?
I mean, that's just what it is when you root for a four-Pendrick driver. It's no different than my football team being like 4th best SEC team. We're always in the shadow of everybody.
Yeah, 4th best AFC South team, maybe too.
The unlucky number 4 for Danny. Jeez.
4th best AFC South team of the literal trashest conference in the entire NFL right now.
They say death comes in threes. For Danny, death comes in fours right now.
I'm Tennessee Vols are keeping me in sports by a thread right now, and whatever happens this weekend determines my mood next week.
Uh-oh, he's hosting too.
Oh, tune in next Wednesday, folks. While I'm talking to the chat, though, we have over 500 viewers currently. Jarrett, what's the like goal tonight? 600? 600 likes on this stream, and that will unlock Jarrett's random driver of the week segment.
Please,
Yeah,
I need another crack at it. Please, guys.
me too.
You gotta like this.
Danny's on like a 2 or 3 game winning streak. He's starting to pull ahead. I need to reel him back in. I only have a few weeks to do it. So every matchup counts. Ellie, I'll have you weigh in here. Kyle Larson gets the win. What did you make of kind of how he took over the second half of that Charlotte race?
Well, first of all, Danny, my condolences. I know how it feels. Secondly,
Hey,
Larson,
you're not being honest. I saw that video of you laughing right when you come out. You can't hide from me.
I take a sick pleasure in that. But no, I it doesn't surprise me, and I agree with Jarrett that Larson's looking scarily like he did a couple of years ago. And you consider that, we're heading into Las Vegas this weekend. He won at the Roval, and he's won the past 2 races at Vegas. He is the definition of hot right now.
Yeah, red hot. I would typically have turned this conversation over to the fantastic cut line battle in the closing laps. Joey Logano trying to hold on to 8th place by a few positions. Tyler Reddick with damage, but fresh tires, flying through the field. That was phenomenal, fun to watch. But we found out about 3 hours after the checkered flag that battle ultimately meant very little, because Alex Bowman was disqualified after finishing 18th. He had advanced by over 20 points, I believe, but with the DQ, loses the stage win and also loses the great finish. So Alex Bowman shockingly eliminated after being too light. Car was found to be too light in post-race. Danny, we'll start off with this. I know you're still going through it. It is what it is, but now that you've had 3 days to think about it, I don't know, give us your thoughts as the resident Alex. I was about to say, what did you call him last week? Bowmer?
I'm a Bowmer.
Bowmer on the show. Take it away.
His performance in the playoffs, not necessarily the team, because that's not really his fault when that stuff happens, but his performance was good. And he proved that the 2020 season, when he got to the round of 8, wasn't a fluke, that he can do it again, given the right circumstances. He did earn his way into the round of 8, and I will not let anyone take that away from him, because that's just not the case. His team screwed him over in this case. And this is something that, we all love to compare it to stick-and-ball sports. This is something that could get a crew chief fired. It really could. Because this is like the equivalent of like a coach making a dumb move or something like that, dumb run of things. Fact of the matter is that the team cost him. I'm not gonna say the championship per se, but it cost him a chance to potentially get into the championship race, and that's the decision that led to that falls on the crew chief in this case, and this could cost Blake Harris his job. And that's just something that I've come to the determination of this week that, not saying it will, but it definitely could. I'm sure it's not going to be talked about over the offseason at Hendrick Motorsports, and he might not go away next year, but he could be on very thin ice. That is for sure.
To your point real quick, and this is sort of a teaser of another topic later on, Travis Mack let go from Colleague Racing this past week. Like, we've seen crew chiefs sort of lose their jobs suddenly in this sport. We're in the fire the coach phase now as NASCAR fans, it sounds like. But to your point, Danny, and I'll throw this over to you, Jarrett, is it on the crew chief? Do you feel that Hendrick knowingly pushed the envelope and just went a little too far out of bounds? Or do you think it was a complete unknown, complete fluke, no idea what happened?
So for me, like at first, and maybe this was just me clinging on to the fact that I kind of like the Bowman storyline of how good he was doing, and really shutting people up, because I don't think he deserves all of the, who gets in the 48 other than him talk. I was clinging kind of to the fact, like, maybe it was when he kind of, launched skyward at one point. Maybe that's what caused it. And like, bunch of heavy parts. People are talking about different like ballasts maybe being removed on accident. But the more I thought about it is, and Danny and I talked a little bit about this earlier tonight, is the fact that they didn't appeal is the interesting part in all of this, because one, they're going to have their public face where they're like, we didn't have enough evidence and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, when's that ever stopped a team before? There's always a chance, right? And to me, my thinking of it is, what did they do to that car that maybe they don't want being found, or like what could be found by NASCAR looking back over appeals panel or whatever that could maybe have a worse penalty if they lose? Because I believe they're right on the edge of that top 10 points battle, which monetarily means a lot, especially when we know these teams all are working in the red. So that's kind of my thinking on that whole part of it. I think the crew chief talk is interesting because this isn't the first time that with this pairing that the crew and crew chief in particular have gotten Alex Bowman penalized. And I believe that Blake Harris can set up a car very well. I mean, we've seen how consistent Alex Bowman has been this year. He has been I would say top 8 driver for the majority of the year. But he's skirting the line that a Chad Knaus would skirt without the pedigree of Chad Knaus. And that gets you fired in 95% of situations.
Yeah, well, he was brought over after that great year he had with Michael McDowell. I guess this is year 2, but and we even heard post-race from, I think, Rick Hendrick, like Alex Bowman was probably not 100% physically even by the end of last year. This year, I think it's safe to say he has been, and he's looked like the 2020, 2021 versions of himself when he was winning multiple races, making deep playoff runs. So this is really the first year Blake Harris has worked with a healthy 100% Alex Bowman, and it's hard to say they haven't been fast, but I mean, to your point, Danny and Jarrett, this is a big blow up, big mistake at the worst possible time. Jeff Gordon on Sirius this week called it embarrassing for Hendrick Motorsports. Ellie, do you agree that this was an embarrassing mistake for HMS?
A little bit, but also I think it was Dale Jr. who one time said on his podcast he would be more apt to firing them if they weren't getting DQ'd or weren't getting caught in tech inspection, because at least they're trying. They're trying to get a leg up on the competition. Looking at everything, I don't know that they really needed it. They had a good points cushion. Bowman was running a good race. He's had a great playoff so far.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they needed to do that. But at least they were trying. And it's a shame looking back now, because I really did want him to move on. When it's Logano versus Bowman, it sucks that we had to choose between a Hendrick, the entire Hendrick team making the final 8, or Logano continuing his streak. I wanted both, but yeah. I guess we get one or the other. But I think it's embarrassing because of how egregious it is. The fact that they chose not to appeal, that shows that there was zero argument. That's the only part of it I find embarrassing. I think crew chiefs getting caught for that kind of stuff, it's just a Tuesday in NASCAR.
Yeah, it's considering Hendrick's record with appeals, winning all those points back in the Louvergate deal, Byron getting, it was a behavioral penalty, granted, but getting all his points rescinded a couple of years back. You'd think with that kind of record, they would take the shot. If they're not taking the shot, they must have really messed up somewhere.
Well, that's the thing that's come back to me, and I know first thing my wife said to me, she was like, if it was any of the other 3, they would be all over that going for the appeal. And I'm like, maybe it is unfortunate it happens to be this car that supposedly they don't care about. It's a little fishy when you start thinking of it that way, and it just it just sucks, man. It really does.
I want to add something really quick, because I feel like I'm doing this a lot with Alex Bowman, and he's by all technicality not, but he feels like an underdog because he is just completely ignored and irrelevant to the majority
team, he
of people.
Definitely is.
And so I wanted to kind of add a few things. Obviously we're different era, all that, so you can't look at like the full body of work necessarily as like a championship performance or anything. But I did want to put up like how consistently fast he has been this year. Only 5 drivers have more top 10s than him this year. Bell and Reddick are far and away with 20 and 19, but the other 3 with 16 apiece are his 3 teammates. He is one behind both of them. Top fives wise, he's right up there with Chase Elliott. He has the same amount of wins as Chase Elliott this year. It's like the only thing that he's really lagged in any way with is laps led, and he's led laps in the last 6 weeks or so. He's been up there and getting faster. So I feel like, a lot of people, especially after I put a meme out there this weekend, think I'm some Hendrick hater. It's like, no, especially Alex Bowman. Like, I feel like he is that underdog that I keep having to defend, even though he is a Hendrick driver, even though he has the stats to prove that he is up there just as fast as Chase Elliott this year. So I don't want this to also be like, oh, he didn't even deserve to be there. I saw a lot of people, and granted it was Twitter, so, not exactly the smartest bunch to grab from, but a lot of people being like, oh, he was irrelevant anyway. He wouldn't have done anything. It's like he was right up there with every single other driver that made it. If you're talking about somebody who all year hasn't really been up there with anyone making it, it is actually Joey Logano.
And that's a great segue, Jared. Although I will throw in to back up your point, Alex Bowman, take out the DQ because that's unfair. Take that race out. Bowman has the second best average finish of anyone in these playoffs so far. That's a 6 race. Well, I guess if we're taking 5 race sample size, still significant. So to suggest he doesn't belong or that he wouldn't have made some noise is certainly incorrect.
Brutal.
Each round, like even though he was starting off at the dead bottom, he was coming out like practically near the top 4.
Yep, he was in the negative to start both rounds and was well into the positive by the end of them until the DQ.
I do still think he was probably in a must-win situation if he's in the round of 8, because I don't know that, when the starts coming down to it, I don't know he would have had enough points to be number 4 in that case if we have 3 playoff guys who are winners. But
he would have been 16 points out, which is a difficult margin to make up in the round of 8. But going back to Jarrett's segue, Joey Logano is in now. As a result, he's 11 points below the cut line. We'll look at the points in a second, but I don't want to take too much away from Joey Logano. Has he put together a more consistent overall season than Alex Bowman? Connor's exactly right. He has not, but he did run a good race at the Roval. He hasn't been super strong at road courses this year, but this past weekend, he qualified top 5, earned stage points in both stages, and still had enough speed to run inside the top 10 late, made it close. So I don't want to act like Joey Logano completely backed into this spot. He is a 2-time champion after all, but certainly the even year Logano prophecy seemed to be out in full force. I'll make this quick. We'll start with you, Danny. Do you think Joey Logano has give it like 0 out of 10, 10 being he has a great chance, 0 he has no chance. What are the chances Logano gets to Phoenix?
10.
It is inevitable.
It's inevitable. Wow. I was not expecting that.
Like, you guys won't, like, maybe it's just because I believe in things happening for reasons, but I've gone all in, and we'll talk about this more later in the show, I'm sure. But Jarrett, when we talk about predictions later, I have a prediction that's still up in the air. I had one where he went winless. I have another one where he would win 4 races this year. He's won 2.
No, you 3. 3 is your prediction.
Oh, I had 3?
3 or more.
Even better.
Okay. All he has to do is get me that 3rd one. That's a prediction, right? And then he's set up. So someone asked me, when I put up a community tab post about, after they said they weren't going to appeal it, and someone asked what do you think Joey would do if he gets a win? And I was like, if Joey Logano wins in the round of 8, he will win the championship.
Well, I'm actually going to kind of follow up, and I think I'm going to actually push back on you a little bit, Eric. I am going to take away from Joey Logano a bit. He is only here because of 5 overtimes in Nashville. He is literally the biggest
That's a good
cluster
point.
bleep of NASCAR history. That's the only reason he's here. He was running 16th, 17th, 18th in points all year, and then the only reason that granted, I'd have to look at the points. Maybe it wasn't the only reason, but the big reason, the number one reason he made it to the next round after the first round is he won at a super speedway. He is totally in the same category after that race as guys like Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe. He in no way has been good in any. His season overall, like top 5s lower than everybody, top 10s lower than everybody, DNFs higher than everybody but Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Like,
Blaney
it's
doesn't
just,
deserve those.
my point is like Blaney has had DNFs, but has run extremely well in all of the other races, and that's weighed him down. Joey Logano has run mediocre and not been weighed down as much because he's already down there. I will hold to what I said in my post-race stream. I don't care that the results change. Joey Logano didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, and he does not deserve to be this far. That being said, he's going to make the Final Four because it's inevitable.
Joey,
you also
Logano-
going 10 out of 10?
I won't go 10 out of 10. You know what? Let's go. Let's see. 6. Let's go 6 out of 10. How many DNFs he's had this year, just to be like cheeky about it.
Jeez.
But I don't think he deserves to be there. And at the
He's
same time,
the weakest of the group, for sure.
He's going to capitalize on this system, and everyone's going to look at this because if he wins a champion, think about this. If he wins a championship, he won a 5 overtimes cluster bleep at Nashville. I'm trying to keep my language to a minimum for now. I'm not going to be like you, Eric. He won at a super speedway, and he got through because of a DQ. I mean, talk about like
I didn't
Mickey
even think
Mouse.
about it. In my head, I'm like, oh, he's a 2-time winner this year. I forgot that only one of those came in the regular season, and we had some good cars like Chastain, Bubba, Busher miss out on the playoffs. So that's a great point. If not for 5 overtimes at Nashville, we aren't even having this debate. It's somebody else in his place. We might even be talking about a Chris Busher,
probably Busher or Chastain or whoever it was this time.
He is exactly what NASCAR has been wanting all along with this playoff system. He is right now the equivalent of a 9-8 wild card team making it all the way to the conference championship game right now.
Yep. Off a forfeit. And so when I played like sports growing up, I remember playing coach pitch baseball in a league in my neighborhood when I was 8 years old, and we sucked. I was the best player on the team, which is saying a lot. We were terrible. We won 0 games all season, but everyone makes the playoffs because whatever. We win our first 2 games because the other team didn't have enough players to play. So we got to the championship by forfeit and lost like 24-5 in the but I have this giant trophy on my shelf as a kid for finishing second. That's Joey Logano right now. He's about to get a giant ass trophy for doing nothing all season.
Because look how it lines up. Look at this round and how he's been in the next gen era. He's won at Vegas. He's been pretty damn good at Homestead, and he's absolutely insane at Martinsville. Oh, and then we got Phoenix, Penske's best track.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you two are convinced that greater powers are prevailing here.
The curse is real.
Connor, do you feel the same way?
To answer that, I have to look back at his whole career. His very first win in the Cup Series was on a rain delay. His second win, he had to shove old Mark Martin out of the way, who absolutely deserved to win that race. His championship came against 2 8-win drivers and the defending champion, who also had a better season than him. He is the biggest Mickey Mouse that we have seen in the past decade. Yeah, he's gonna make it. He's gonna make it to Phoenix.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, I get it. Everything happens for a reason. Everything you guys have said, but I'm gonna inject at least a little bit of logic in here. He has struggled this year compared to the other 7 that are still alive. I give it like a 3. I'll give him a 3. He's been to 5 championship 4s before, one way or another. He gets there. There's a chance to become the first driver to hit 6. Well,
Eric, if we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it.
Minus 11 is not that much to make up.
Streaks are meant to be broken. If there was ever a year, the even year Logano curse was going to come to an end, it has to be this year. I think he's run out of mulligans. I don't think it happens. I think I give it a 3 out of 10. I'll give him a fighting chance because he's there. He's a champion. He deserves that respect. But I think the powers are eventually going to run out, and this is where it comes to an end for Joey. He can't keep getting away with it.
Speaking of getting away with things, I have some hypothetical, if you guys like playing hypotheticals here for a second.
Okay, Danny, yes.
So we haven't really talked about how close that battle actually was to get to be the last one in between Reddick and Logano. Had Logano actually been in front, Reddick's the one on the outside, then this happens. The current lawsuit happening, do you think we even find out about this?
I don't want to go there. Well, to be fair, this DQ got 23-11 back in the owner's points because Reddick was out of the owner's points. So this actually DQ
plausible deniability.
Yeah, they're going to show the court and be like, "Look how unbiased we are." I don't know, but I don't think that played a role. I think they literally just, though it's black and white, car rolls across is too light. They got to say something. They can't just ignore it. even Hendrick Motorsports, they're going to say something, unfortunately for Alex Bowman fans. Well, I guess we can move on. That was fun. We'll see how Joey Logano does. Is anyone going to pick him to win Las Vegas later in the show? Wait and see. Tune in to find out. There was one other controversy, I guess we could say, early in the race. Track limits, with the turtles being removed in parts of the track overnight due to drivers complaining of way too aggressive impacts. NASCAR had to attempt to clarify the track limits rules, what constitutes cutting a corner versus what's fair game. And the ruling was put to a test early on when Bubba Wallace was called for cutting the front stretch chicane, forced to do a stop and go. But in the same shot, William Byron appeared to cut across the front stretch chicane, but got no penalty. Now I saw NASCAR Communications, Mike Ford attempted to clarify on Twitter, effectively saying that it's okay if you cut through the blue, like you get inside of the red and white curb, but you must have at least one tire at all times on the red or better. Bubba was slightly more to the inside and at one point had all four of his tires on the blue at the same time. That appeared to be the distinction. Obviously, I didn't watch that curb all day, the whole entire race, so I have no idea if that was consistently called, but that was their explanation. I don't know. It sounds like drivers and teams had like three different ideas of what you were allowed to do on the front stretch, and it took until the end of stage 2 for everyone to stop getting called for penalties. Because did you notice there were a ton of penalties the first couple stages? I'm not sure there was a single course cutting penalty called in the final stage. I could be wrong, but it was much less for sure. I mean, Jared, do you have a reaction to how NASCAR called this? Do you have a problem, I guess, with how NASCAR officiated track limits?
I think there's two things. One, nothing ever gets clarified. Like, we go to the Roval and it's like, well, if you keep these 4 tires on the blue, then it doesn't count. But if it's a little bit this way, like, everyone's cutting the corner. On the other end, though, you have COTA where it's like 30-second penalty, damn it, you're done. Like, and then you have NASCAR who removing the turtles, I get, causing these impacts hurts, the drivers say it hurts. Though there were no like verified injuries per se to it, it just sets the whole thing up. Like there's different obstacles there for a reason to keep these drivers on track. I am not necessarily one that likes track limit rules. I like deterrents for going off track. I'm fine with a gravel trap at Watkins Glen. I'm fine with, leaving curbs and turtles up there so it makes it difficult to go over. I think it needs to, especially these are the best stock car drivers in the world. They should be able to self-police themselves on this. And so that's more my issue on it. I made a joke on it. And the other issue is, why the hell did the broadcast not bring this up? Like, it's on screen. I will say this too, off topic. That was probably the weakest NBC broadcast I've seen in years. Like, they were just off. It was sloppy. The commercials were like abundant.
I did feel there were a lot of commercials.
It's probably because we're just also coming off Talladega.
Yeah, and it was big NBC. They got to supplement some of that lost cable revenue. What I found interesting going back and watching was that when Bubba got called for it and they broke it down, Steve Letart's analyzing it, like his definition of why Bubba got called for a penalty, and they didn't acknowledge Byron, but his explanation as to why Bubba was called did not necessarily align with what Mike Ford and NASCAR said afterwards. That's why, I mean, there is clearly some confusion still. It's like, it reminded me of the blend line violation at Indianapolis, where there are like 2 different ways to interpret the way it was written when it could have been written way more simply and comprehensively. Connor, do you feel like NASCAR called this wrong, or what's your take on track limits this weekend?
The only way I can see it not being wrong, I'm going to need a visual for this. Hang on. Let me see if I can get this going. Actually, you know what? Danny, go before me.
Okay, he's setting something up. Danny, track limits, what'd you see?
I saw Alex Bowman. Oh, what are we doing over here?
He's got the virtual camera set up. Okay, wait, hold on. I do want to, Connor, if you're ready, I want to hear your,
all right.
The only way presentation.
The only way I can see it making any sense whatsoever is if at one point in the corner, here's Byron's car. I can draw.
That's beautiful.
A 20
looks like a thumb.
Yeah.
Severed finger.
If his right rear or left rear tire is still on the markings, and as he moves forward, this right rear tire gets onto the markings as the left rear comes off. That's the only way I can see it making sense. Now, the fact that I have to use this to make my point means it probably doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, that is basically how NASCAR seemed to explain it, but that's not how Steve Letarte explained it on the broadcast, and it sounded like they didn't define it clearly during the drivers' meeting either, which Denny Hamlin said on his podcast, the drivers' meeting is kind of more of a ceremonial thing at this point. It's not exactly a let's get down to the nitty gritty, ask questions, understand the race. It's more for VIPs, sponsors, hosts, all that stuff. But it sounds like it wasn't even brought up, which is concerning for sure. It certainly added to the confusion. Danny, I'll give you the final word on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's if that is their legit reason, you really, I guess you have to really break it down frame by frame by frame and see, okay, was there any point where Byron had all four tires in that blue section? I know one thing I saw everyone saw the 48 go like full like rally car, go all four wheels off the ground. That's interesting. I don't know how you do that. You don't end up getting a penalty that way either, but
You just skip the blue. It's just like a ramp shortcut in like a Mario
yeah,
Kart video game.
yeah.
Danny, when I threw it to you, I was expecting your final word to just be "it is what it is," but
It is what it is.
If Tennessee loses to Alabama this weekend, it is what it is.
that's my new favorite coping mechanism. I'm gonna start using that every day, every chance I
It
get.
is what it is.
What it
Just
is.
like when I win the driver prediction
Oh,
segment. If
oh.
you guys will get us to that like goal, I'm just here to say, unless you guys don't want to see us play it, we don't have to tonight. But it would be nice because I do have a two point lead at the moment, and Eric might be saying it is what it is at the end of the year in that one.
Yeah, I was checking something. Someone in the chat said something that was interesting, but I don't know. I can't verify if it's true, so we'll
The
check it later in the show.
interest.
I know I see
Uh,
someone said can't believe Bowman fans are still alive. It's getting tough thing in there, man. It
hey,
really
hey,
is.
it is what it is.
It is
We
what it
keep
is.
going. We keep chugging along. Uh, Before we move off the race itself, what do you guys think of the new turn 7, the hairpin, basically all the reconfigurations? Like, what do y'all think? Oval, Roval, what should the fall race look like going forward?
Roval should go away. I still think that I want to just be Charlotte Oval all the time. But I mean, this change is it's all right. I think maybe it's a little bit better than the previous one, but
See, I thought I actually liked it more. I wasn't too much a fan overall of this race, but I definitely thought in watching it in progress, the way that Xfinity ran through there, the way that the Cup guys did, I thought the drivers, now with hindsight being 2020, I think they overreacted a bit. There were a few guys that ended up being bowling balls, and
Carson Hocevar hit a few.
yeah, that's not new. But I liked it. I would say go back to the oval, whether you do 400, 500 miles, whatever. I know fans want to do 500. No TV wants to do 400, whatever that might end up being. I do think that should be the end goal of it. The Roval was fun to me. It's a fun experiment, but I think it's kind of run its course, pun intended.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good
I
pun.
agree. I think that the course was, in my opinion, it was a little bit better because I think with how hard it is to pass in the next gen car, you need those hairpin corners. Like, Sonoma has the drag strips and Watkins Glen has basically turn one. You need one of those heavy braking corners to try and level it out a little bit. But ultimately, I still think it would be better to go to the oval. I much prefer the racing product in the 600 over the Roval.
Yeah, I think the car race is better at the oval, but I agree with what you guys said is even with some of the chaos and calamity, this car desperately needed another passing zone, and we got that. So I did think overall it was a better Roval race, minus the blowout at the end, than we've seen the past couple of seasons. Let's take a look at the round of 8, though, with the Logano inclusion. As we reset for the final round here, it's Kyle Larson plus 33. Christopher Bell is plus 13. Tyler Reddick plus 10. Reset was very kind to Tyler Reddick, who had a good regular season. William Byron is plus 4. Ryan Blaney, the defending champion, is 4 points out. Denny Hamlin, still chasing that championship, missing some of those playoff points from earlier in the year, is now minus 8. Chase Elliott is minus 9. And Joey Logano is minus 11. We will talk about Las Vegas and the round of 8 a little later in the show, but that is your points reset. TV ratings for the Charlotte Roval. This has been kind of interesting. The Cup race drew 2.42 million viewers, which is a 6% increase from this race last year. It's the most watched Roval race since 2021. So that's pretty cool. Xfinity drew over 800,000 viewers, 834,000 viewers for their race on the CW. I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe through the first 6 races of the playoffs, the Cup Series is up over 5% year over year in ratings. Talladega and the Roval have been huge helps because I think a couple of the other races actually kind of okay. Bristol, I think, did okay by Bristol standards.
Talladega being up 25% is a huge, huge help.
Exactly. It is carrying. It is certainly carrying. Great point. We can beat that drum for always and always. Our poll is next, the famous iceberg poll. Jarrett asks you all every single weekend immediately following the race if you thought it was a good, great, bad, mediocre, awful race. 11,000 of y'all voted this week on the famous iceberg poll. 11% voted great race. 55% said it was good. 25% said it was average. 5% below average, 4% bad. That's one of the more negative skewed polls, I think, in our history. Our polls usually scroll.
I changed my vote at 8 p.m.
I wonder if other people did too, because you can go in and change your vote.
I think there probably was a few people that did that.
Some of the comments in there are like time capsules to pre-Bowman penalty.
The alternate timeline where,
At age NASCAR had a really busy weekend.
Oh my gosh, overwhelmed. Jarrett, what were some of the comments that jumped out at you?
Well, the first one's from Vermonter. So is it positive, negative, meme, or a mix?
A mix.
Vermonters. I'm gonna go negative.
Any others?
I don't know.
Just making okay. Well,
I'm saying mix. It's a meme, but it's got either positive or negative. I don't know which one.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I agree.
He says, as Blaney put it today, this is an effing shit show of a race. I love how they censor one but not the other. They need the oval, but I'm with you, Jarrett. I'm just going to start focusing on the single race and not the playoffs. I mean, it honestly makes it less infuriating if you just focus on the stuff you like on it, not the dislike part. So you do you. Irving Boy said, one of the better Roval races I've seen. That hairpin turn made this race more fun to watch than the past few years.
One of my favorite arcs in this race was SVG getting spun in the hairpin, and then like a little later on, I forget who he did. He spun somebody else out. So I was like, SVG is learning how to NASCAR before our very eyes. It's beautiful.
He's getting Americanized.
Yeah.
Sick Freak here said, in one weekend, NASCAR managed to screw both 48 Chevys.
Oh, we'll get to the second 48, yes, but good point.
Dexter says, I think IndyCar could do well here, but that'll never happen. The Turn 7 hairpin was pretty exciting, and it was cool following Reddick through the field. A lot of positive stuff I've seen in here from people talking
Reddick's
about 7.
charge at the end was really exciting. Like that made the end of the race watchable, because otherwise it was like Larson and Bell in their own zip code.
Hamlin Fanatic said full screen commercials should be a thing of the past.
I agree. We all agree.
Larry says, Joey Logano better be thanking Mr. H, because Alex Bowman literally just handed him a potential 3rd Cup championship, with the 48 being DQ'd for being too light. Sliced bread, more like lucky bread.
Lucky bread. Wonder bread.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Trying to tie it into NASCAR.
Forget Wonder Boy, sliced bread. You're Wonder Bread now.
Left Turn 99 said Turn 7 was great, and Deegan said, my guy won and I still couldn't dig it.
Ooh, it's tough.
Down here to the gutter. Byron wins, 1034 said, blah. SKRE Inc. said, one of the most boring races I've ever watched, along with Bristol. That's what happens when Hendrick rigs the race and builds a track right next door to Charlotte with no opposition. Do you hear about that? They built their own track thing or they're going to build their own track for like, I think,
I
like
think isn't it already
cars?
built?
Or is it already built?
Yeah, I saw pavement.
Wasn't
Okay.
it was it drag race? What was it for? Because I saw something about it, but I
It's
didn't
like sports
dive
cars
deep.
and like different
It's like a road course
prototypes.
setup.
Yeah. But interesting comment. And then John here with the lowest one, not the John we know, saying in all caps, boring. So
I would
Craig
That was
would
a
like
tame
to-
gutter.
About the Hendrick comment with the track, I will say I talked to a few years ago. I talked to the former owner of Furniture Row Racing, and nobody really knew about this. I don't know if I'm spilling secrets right now, but the Pikes Peak International Raceway, they use that as their testing ground. They actually thought about buying it and putting a shop in the middle of it. So this is nothing new. I just want to make sure people know this is people do this all the time.
It's just interesting because NASCAR, I know now, and maybe then too, but certainly more now, has such strict rules around testing. Was it Mike Harmon Racing that almost got basically forced to bankruptcy because they ran their car at like some showcase thing a couple of years ago?
Yep.
It's like, I don't remember what that was. I think they eventually, NASCAR was like, okay, it's Mike Harmon Racing. Like, what are they really? They're not doing any
what
damage.
did they gain?
Yeah. So, but yeah, NASCAR very strict about that stuff nowadays. So that's why I'll be curious to see how Hendrick actually uses, if they're allowed to use this for NASCAR. How would NASCAR know? I mean, I guess
They're just going to have one official in the tower at Charlotte looking behind with some binoculars at all times.
they're going to set up like CCTV footage, train it right on, or train that camera right on the Hendrick campgrounds. Espionage. Another good sort of segue into a later topic. Espionage, Spygate. We'll get there. I'm teasing everyone. We're nearing our first Super Chat stage break, but before we get to that, let's talk about the Xfinity Series race. Let's just start at the controversial finish. I don't even know what to make of this. It's been a few days now. I've had a chance to cool off. Parker Kligerman, I don't know why I pronounced it that way. Kligerman. It's Barnacle Man. Ran what fantastic final stage, racing for a playoff spot. I thought for the second straight week we were going to see the 12 seed upset the playoff grid on the Xfinity side, but it wasn't meant to be.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
Something just came up.
We'll call it caution.
The Connor caution here. NASCAR. How should I set this up? Leland Honeyman slams the tire barrier on the infield section of the course, is underneath the tire barrier. NBC or the CW has cameras on it. They're saying, oh, wonder if they can get back to the line to take the white. Kligerman's doing the final couple turns, and right as he reaches the flag stand, the yellow lights come on. At least 10, 15, 20 seconds after the major crash occurred. NASCAR was waiting. Oh, yellow light. When Kligerman was this far from taking the white and would have been declared the winner. Instead, we went to overtime where Kligerman was beat. Big, rock'em sock'em back and forth there. Sam Mayer ultimately gets the win. We'll talk about that in a moment. But heartbreaking for Kligerman, Jarrett. I don't think the overtime was the wrong call. Like, this race should have gone to overtime. And I'm sorry, Parker Kligerman lost in overtime, but it still stings. And it stings that NASCAR waited so long, teased him. They absolutely teased the hell out of him, only to spoil the fun at the end. What did you make of that call, Jarrett?
Well, I think it's piece by piece on it. So the Leland Honeyman part, he can't help it. I think he had a flat tire or a mechanical issue, something like that.
Yeah, he actually tweeted out on the day it happened, October 12th. By the way, he's an underrated follow on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. He said, bro, how am I getting blamed for a left front going down? This is crazy.
And to that I say, like, I think we all know about that 70 IQ Twitter user, Danny hitting the gong.
Yeah, I just every now and again gotta smack it.
So I don't blame him. It was funny though because, like, again, NASCAR has all of the access to all the cameras, even the ones we don't get. So they have access to the broadcast cameras. Okay, that's there too. From what I heard, it was shown on the giant ass TV on the backstretch that you can see from South Carolina. But they're like, well, we don't look at the screens at all. And like, we watch the racetrack. I'm like, I'm sorry. Literally everything that this industry has talked about in the last couple of years, whether it be how they officiate races to how now they call them remotely, is that we do everything off a screen now. I don't buy it. I think either they missed it, or if you want to be, tinfoil on this, they threw it pretty close to it, maybe a little too close than what they wanted, to add drama to it because they skirt that line so often. And I'm not going to say necessarily based on the rule that Parker was robbed, because based on the rule, this should have been overtime, and we would have all groaned at overtime, but we all knew this was supposed to happen. I think what makes it a little more egregious for people is we had a similar instance at Indianapolis with the same amount of time to call a caution, and the white was thrown before the caution came out, which again, you put tinfoil hats on, do whatever you want with that. That's here nor there and not in the moment. But it's to the point for me now that I am just tired of officiating not only ruining races, but ruining seasons for people or changing seasons. And in Parker Kligerman's case, like, this is legacy changing, I think, because he's probably not going to get a win. I don't think he's going to pull off an upset. Maybe he does. I hope he does.
Stepping away from driving.
Yeah, he's stepping away from full-time driving at this point, and now that was probably his best last chance to win. Maybe he'll come back at races that are good for him. And my big point too with this is, if you're going to insist on having a system where 3 race sample sizes influence who goes on to compete in a 1 race sample for the championship, you have 2 options here. Get it right, get people over there, which apparently they said there weren't. I don't really believe it. I think it was just complete gaffing all around. You get the people that need to be there, and you shore up these issues, or you scrap this system for the lower series where it's going to have that big of an effect on people, whether it's regulars or people moving up. But if you're insisting on having this, you cannot continuously keep screwing up over and over again. And this thing, I like Parker, and I like Sam Mayer, I like SVG. I don't dislike Austin Hill like everyone does. I had no skin in the game. I had no one I disliked. I had no one I liked more than anyone else. I'm frankly saying this as just someone who I would like to think I'm a little more unbiased on this than maybe other cases. This is unacceptable. And the fact that this is almost normalized, and the booth is pulling everything out of their ass to defend NASCAR is just, it's unacceptable.
I do agree with what Jupiter Rain said in the chat. They said it wasn't the wrong call. They just did it too late. I do agree with that because, I mean, we obviously had to throw the caution. There's a car buried under, the barriers over there. You can't keep going, but definitely way too late for that call to have come.
Yeah, I agree with 3 things Jarrett said, but maybe in slightly different ways. The first thing I agree with is that Kligerman wasn't robbed, because there should have been a caution, should have been an overtime, and unfortunately he lost. It is what it is. It stings, but he wasn't robbed. The second thing I agree with you on is that NASCAR's past inconsistency, I think, is the large reason fans felt he was robbed, because, like you said, multiple instances earlier this year, NASCAR did wait until drivers took the white to throw the caution, and the race was over. And then the third thing I partially agree with you on is I do think it was a gaffe on NASCAR race control's part. I don't think it's because they were necessarily twiddling their thumbs trying to decide, should we throw it, guys? What do you think? I think they legit didn't see it, and that's at least to me, it's worse, but at least that's fixable, because sure, for the Xfinity and Truck Series, I think it's clear at this point they have, just you do need to look at the monitors, and if they don't, that's on them, but that's something that can be fixed. Will they fix it? Remains to be seen. They haven't yet. Look at the monitors. But we've also seen for a few years now that the Truck and Xfinity Series must not have as many people around the track, less eyes in the sky, because this is not the first time a car has wrecked or been stopped and gone unnoticed for far too long. It's happened several times, especially in Trucks and Xfinity. So that's why I don't think it was malice. I think it was negligence, and at least negligence can be fixed. Am I confident it will be? No, but it can be fixed. There is a potential solution. If NBC or whoever was able to get cameras on it for 15 seconds before NASCAR saw it, then that tells me there is a way to fix it. It just comes down to, will NASCAR, do it? Maybe they won't. They haven't yet.
I'm betting NASCAR wishes so badly they were on Fox, because Fox would have missed it, and then we would have found out later. But
Fox would have found it after the lights were on.
I have no confidence at this point with how they've officiated, not just this year, but in years past, not just on track stuff going on, but other things like, we have every couple weeks one of the 2 NASCAR brass go out there and be like, we'll fix this. This is a fixable thing, and It's like, okay, like when are we gonna fix it? You know, like I guess what kind of pisses me off about it is that it's like we've seen it kind of escalate over time more and more, whether it's cautions being thrown, whether it's rules being enforced and not being properly explained to people, and it's just getting sloppier. I mean,
Oh yeah.
There's so many different instances that you look at miscommunication being blamed for different things, Cup, Xfinity, trucks. That's why it's like I don't have the confidence that they'll fix it, because they can say all they want that they want to improve, and I bet they probably do want to improve, but they never do. So
they don't hold themselves accountable. Ever since
why
David Hooks left,
saying something then? Like, why bother addressing the media about it if you're just going to continue to do the same thing? You might as well just avoid it.
They're hoping they won't mess up next time. We all know they will, but they're hoping in their heads they won't. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. You don't expect to miss the fly ball, but one of these days you are going to miss it, and you know it is what it is. And unless you've taken every action possible to account for that, you should be criticized. The problem is NASCAR has to hold themselves accountable, the people in the booth accountable, and at least from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like they have. It feels like MLB continuing to let Angel Hernandez call games years longer than he probably should have, despite it being an issue. Danny's calling timeout. What's going on there?
Jarrett, do you have the breaking news banner?
I mean, I got to type it up, but what's up?
Bob Pockris tweeted it's about 7 minutes ago.
Yep.
In its filing in response to 2311 and FRM hopes for expedited discovery, NASCAR states NASCAR has taken steps consistent with its contractual obligations to other charter teams to plan for a season with only 32 charters.
Which makes sense to me, because I mean, at this point, it seems like Ellie's back.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, you came in the right time, buddy.
Breaking news. We'll touch on this real quick.
Basically, NASCAR has said, to heck with 2311 and FRM, your charter is not going to stand next year. They're planning for a season of only 32 charters.
Yes. Now there's still that hearing, because basically this is in response to 2311 and Front Row filing that for an injunction that would allow them to keep their charters. NASCAR is saying no, and we've got plans in place for when we don't allow that. So it's all going to come down to how that hearing goes, I think in November 4th, right? Isn't that when it was moved to? So this isn't shocking to me. NASCAR obviously is going to push back against 2311 and Front Row. We knew that, I guess, and we also knew that they put a deadline. If you don't sign the agreement, your charters are gone. The current agreement's up on December 31st. Which, if you haven't signed the new one, I mean, I figured they probably had this ball moving for months.
Basically would mean you're welcome to come race with us, but you're going to have to qualify your way in.
But
and you're not going to get the bonus money that the other teams get.
So, I'm surprised, but not because of like why they did it. It's just amazing to me that it's gotten to this point. Like,
it's like actually happening.
Yeah, like we've heard that like we're all willing to do this, but like, I mean, I give it to both sides. It is unstoppable force versus a movable object, and I really think more and more it's going to turn into the courts will be the ones deciding which one of those wins at this point. The more we go down this path, the more and more I'm expecting this to get uglier and go higher up the court system.
The interesting report, I forget who reported it earlier this week, but there's been some chatter that some other teams may at least help with some of the legal costs that 2311 and Front Row incur over this process. So sort of, it's like a real war. There's, shadow, it's sort of a proxy war. They're like, we're not going to go and get on the lawsuit ourselves, but like, well, here's some money. Here, we'll throw our support behind you. Good luck. You're fighting the good fight. We'll see where it goes. But this is interesting news. We knew NASCAR was going to respond. I'm not shocked this is how they responded.
Would NASCAR count that though as like partially, how they have the anti-disparaging clause to the charter agreement? I mean, if you're literally funding something going head to head against NASCAR's interests, like that would get any other team in trouble. Like I would think that would get other teams in trouble. I'll just put it like this, like if we're doing this show right now, and Eric or Danny or I is like paying somebody else to like go out there and talk trash about all three of us hosts, all four of us on here, like that goes against pretty much any agreement we had, whether handshake or in writing. Like bad, probably analogy, but it's just like I don't see how the teams could get away with that because it would have to be publicly out there, I would think.
These teams are all private companies. I assume if it's in court, yeah, the finances may become public. I don't know how that would work on the plaintiff side.
They would. They would have to because you would have to probably include some of that with it being such a huge case. I would think, and then who would do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I do want to add Bob Hockris, Fox Sports, adding to this. This is from NASCAR's filing in response to 2311 in front rows. He adds from NASCAR, quote, NASCAR is working on reallocating funds that plaintiffs would have received to increase prize money and other special awards for the 2025 season for the benefit of teams that timely executed 2025 charters, as well as open teams who can compete to win the increased prize money. So on one hand, I guess if you're the other teams, you're like, cool. But on the other hand, it does say right there that open teams might make a little more money than they're used to. Carl Long is licking his chops. Let's start there. But that theoretically would also go towards 2311 and front row running as non-chartered teams.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to look also. I mean, the amount of pay increase that would be, or decrease that would be from what they get with a charter.
Oh yeah, it's still be a lot less, I'm sure.
Well, but you also include the increase that they've had with this, and the increase of revenues with other things that they put in. And a big thing that's coming to my mind right now, and I apologize to you fans of front row and 2311 for putting this out there. Oh, if this happens, the duels are going to be so fun.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Because can you imagine like Tyler Reddick or Bubba
Michael
Wallace?
McDowell, he won the damn thing.
Hey, isn't
like,
Martin Truex Jr.
Oh, wait, no, he's
supposed
not there anymore. Sorry.
Isn't Martin Truex Jr. supposed to run the Daytona 500 in a 2311 car?
But I believe
that might get canceled.
Yeah, it could get canceled because I think that could have been an open car still. But they
It was
talked
good,
about
but
they bought a charter. So,
But I guess that's true. But I'm saying like now, like if I'm 2311 racing, I'm like I don't want more competition for
Guys,
Bubba and Reddick.
I'm
like,
just
they
like,
gotta get in.
On-air production meeting. I'm just thinking about right now. We do always do a show the night before the duel, so that's gonna be a spicy show. You know that Denny's gonna say something.
That'll be spicy.
Look at my chops right now as a producer.
I guess theoretically, if 2311 is in no position to be like putting MTJ in a car, I mean, JGR could technically still field a fifth car for the Daytona 500 if they really wanted to.
Technically, they can't. I don't think, right? I mean,
I think
I think
you're like allowed if it's an open car. You're allowed like.
Yeah.
But I guess the rule is I think also for like rookies or like.
I didn't think you could have a fifth car under any circumstances. Am I crazy?
Hendrick Motorsports did it for Chase Elliott back in 2015.
No, but I think under that was before the charter agreement. I thought under
it couldn't be charter.
The 4-team max.
No,
I thought there was no room for
you
a
can't
fifth
have like
open car.
you can't have fifth full time. I mean, you can.
Yeah, it can be part time for I believe 5 races.
I'm pretty.
Yeah, 5 races. That's what I thought it was.
I feel like that was
changed it.
I think that was pre the most recent edit or update, but yeah, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't think they could. They could obviously build the car and it'd be a 2311
Chat saying, I think Eric's right on this one. It's so hard to keep up all the stuff these days.
Yeah, they've changed that one a lot.
Let's be honest, though. NASCAR would bend the rules if it made it for a good storyline. They've always done it that way. just
definitely. I mean, well, I don't think they'll bend the rules.
True.
I mean, they'll bend it for 2311.
I mean, there's always
Joe Gibbs.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Let's be real. You can always say it's a legacy car and build it in JGR if you.
That's they could do for sure. Well, so some breaking news.
Wait, sorry. What were we talking about before the Xfinity race?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was about to.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt the Xfinity stuff, but that was big enough that I didn't get required to talk about that.
No, it's all right. Can I give my take on it? I had to go away for a minute. I really enjoyed it, man. 4 cars under a blanket, battling for the win. That's how it should be. I had to leave early. I had to go to a colonoscopy, but man, Parker Kligerman finally getting that win. I couldn't see the celebration, but he was. Why are you laughing?
That's
so
well, who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna chat? Don't say anything. Yeah, no, chat. Nothing. Nate, we're good. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna make this next bit a little awkward. The points. Parker Kligerman's not in the round of 8. I don't.
Wait, what? Did he? Was his car too heavy too?
Well,
no, he's just too far back.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. Sam Mayer won again. It wasn't Parker Kligerman, unfortunately. I think you may have missed the. Believe it or not, this race went into overtime, and Well, Sam Mayer won. I hate to be the one to tell you this. I'm sorry.
I
Oh my
gotta,
God.
I gotta
You
go call
okay?
my doctor.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's funny. Well, Sam Mayer did win. We were just getting into that actually. Connor, Sam Mayer gets the win, his third of the season. Am I right?
I was standing right there for like 10 minutes waiting to do that bit, and then of course NASCAR, like they ruined so many things, had to ruin my bit as well with the breaking news right at that moment.
If you think about it, it
Yeah.
actually made the timing even better.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
That
it
worked
actually
out
made it a
super
lot
well.
better.
Yeah. I didn't actually get a colonoscopy, but man, it felt like it with that finish. That was rough.
Coughed a little too hard.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I actually didn't know what you're doing. I actually messaged these guys in our Twitter chat. Like, is he okay? He's been gone for a while.
Cars Boy in the chat says the dedication is insane. That is correct. I respect dedication to a good bit, and that was indeed a good bit. Well, Sam Mayer won. He's through to the round of 8. Justin Allgaier resets as the points leader. He snuck in just barely. Plus 18. Then Cole Custer is plus 11. Austin Hill plus 9. Chandler Smith plus 8. Then Sam Mayer minus 8. Jesse Love minus 12. AJ Allmendinger minus 18. And Sammy Smith minus 19. Meant to mention this earlier, but Shane Van Gisbergen misses out. Leaving him out there on older tires, I didn't like that at the time. I just, I get that track position's important. Maybe they thought more people would stay out. He put up a fight, was still running top 5 towards the end, even on at that deficit. But I want SVG on offense, man. Even if he's restarting 10th, it's like give him the fresh tires, let him go eat.
Well, that's a point I brought up after the Cup race. What I liked about the call was Reddick, and what I didn't like about what Joey Logano and crew were doing. Like this system promotes aggression, no matter which way you look at it. For the win, you need your driver to be on offense at the end of these races.
At the same time, on most tracks, maybe not the Roval, it's hard to pass. So I could see that
this
side
is
of the
the
coin.
best road course racer in the series. I mean, he was this is AJ Allmendinger's playhouse, and he was outrunning him for a lot of this race. And Sam Mayer was good, but I don't think he was as good as the 97. I would have put fresh tires on and not.
I was speaking to the. I was referring to the Cup race. Yes, in Xfinity, it's easier to pass.
We got turn 7 now.
Yeah, you're right. But no, for the Xfinity cars, no doubt. I at the time, and it's easy to say this now, hindsight's 2020. But at the time, I thought, ooh, maybe it's because I saw that very few others stayed out with them. But I'm like, no, I want SVG to eat at the end. I don't want him on his heels. So that was kind of a bummer because I did want to see what SVG could do in the round of 8, going to a couple of tracks now for the second time, maybe third time even. I guess second time.
It's a good lesson.
It's a good lesson to learn, though. Just to see what he could do. I didn't expect him to go to the championship but it's a fun storyline.
I will say that will probably help in the future when it comes to if he has to be left out on worn tires. Like that is something he has to learn if he's going to be stock car racing. Not that I think that was what their thinking was, but sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes you need to make the best out of a bad crew call.
Yeah, for sure. If there's any silver lining, you can call it a learning moment for Shane Van Gisbergen.
I think he'll actually learn from mistakes, unlike NASCAR and their booth.
Yeah,
I still think I'm sorry, I didn't give my 2 cents on this. I robbed myself of the opportunity. I'm just going to say it now. I'll make it quick. I think it's amazing that in that situation, they had 2 options. Because Leland Honeyman, he was embedded in the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That dude wasn't going anywhere. They could have thrown the caution immediately and just ripped the Band-Aid off right then and there. Probably the fairest option. Or they could have done what they did at the Brickyard, have him cross the line, then throw the yellow, race is over. They not only didn't choose either of those options, they waited until the final, not even second, I mean millisecond. You had to go down to the frame to make the worst call possible. And I don't want to hear about how they didn't see it. The fans at home saw it. Fans at the track saw it. Media people saw it. Everybody saw it. And the people who are supposed to see it apparently didn't. I'm not buying it. Yeah.
It's not a valid excuse. That's something that needs to get, if that's true, it needs to be fixed now, or at least the very next road course race. That's a great way to sort of put a stamp on the Charlotte Roval. NASCAR creating controversy where controversy need not exist. Hope that was good grammar. We are just past the top of the hour, folks. We are also nearing our light goal of 600. You guys are close to eclipsing it early tonight. That's incredible.
They already know I'm not in no good mood after Bowman. They don't want this gaslighting tonight, guys.
To kick off the second hour of the show, we'll begin with our first super chat stage break. Thank you all so much for your generous super chats. We'll kick things off with Isaac V24 here. Between the charter lawsuits, the OT officiating controversies, and now Bowman's DQ and Spygate, this has to be the ugliest NASCAR season in a while. I think the lawsuit alone qualifies this as probably the ugliest NASCAR season, at least in a decade, maybe two. I don't know. Be hard pressed. Someone will think of something really. I mean,
this is unprecedented.
Since I've been watching, the lawsuit's rough, but I'm like NASCAR obviously used to be a lot less safe. You had, those incidents would occur.
If we're looking post 2001, I think that's the good.
Sure, that's sort of like the
benchmark.
cutoff. I would say it's the ugliest since at least 2001. Napa Racing fan, feel terrible for both 48 drivers. HMS keep Bowman. I think Bowman's going to keep his right, at least for next season. We'll see about 2026. But
Justin Haley, he's coming
in. Napa Racing fan also says, not even failing to advance on points can stop Logano in even years. He gets DQs to help him out. Bowman was way better this year, deserved the round of 8 spot. So Napa Racing fan agrees with pretty much all of our takes first half of the show there. Fred Dog 81, a lot of these comments still about Bowman and Logano. Fred Dog says, is Logano the biggest villain still in the playoffs? No fault of his own. I would have originally thought Hamlin, but the lawsuit may have won him some fans. Shoot, Denny Hamlin suddenly the people's champion.
Kyle Busch arc.
Yeah. He's speed running the Kyle Busch arc through the court system. Joey Logano, certainly the least deserving driver that left. I don't know. Logano does still get, he still gets a lot of boos on Sunday if you go to the track. Like I think he still might be the most booed driver these days. It was Kyle Busch for years, no longer. Grizzly Industries, how heated could the lawsuit get in the offseason? And will it affect JGR/Team Penske alliances or more? The only way I think it affects the alliances is if, like Bob Jenkins at Front Row has said, we can run as an open team next year. But beyond that, the dollars and cents get a little harder. That's the only way I could see that impacting those alliances if they just can't afford them in the future. But it could certainly, the lawsuit's going to get uglier before it gets nicer at this rate. Snappy 452 says, getting this in now. Saturday sucked all the joy out of this weekend for me, and I'm not even a Parker Kligerman fan. Couldn't get into Sunday. Completely disgusted. Strong words from Snappy there. I get it. I was heated. I felt like Connor did for at least an hour after the race. I just couldn't believe.
Do you remember those commercials where like they would like think that the NASCAR commercials where the guy would think the race is over, so he'd flip away, and then the driver would appear in the room and be like, "Why'd you flip away? Why'd you turn the channel?" That's me now. I actually, with 5 laps to go, I want to turn it off because I don't want to see what tomfoolery they're about to cook up.
Yeah, we haven't had a Cup Series overtime in a couple of weeks, right? Did Talladega have overtime? Maybe it did.
Yeah, but it's Talladega. That
yeah, that's just gonna happen.
But I like, what are we still like batting over 500 on overtimes this year in Cup? Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think
crazy. So. Ross Crash Dane, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Spire would be better. HMS didn't even mention Alex in their post-race rundown on their website. Well, they probably wanted to avoid the awkward disqualification conversation, but you're saying that Bowman would be better at Spire than he is at Hendrick? I don't know about that. Spire's on the come up, but that 48 is a winning car. He's proven it this year. I wouldn't go there just yet.
I think he's talented enough to get them maybe a win, but not as many as he's getting at Hendrick.
I'll do just a few more real quick. This one's for you, Ellie. Says from Blake. Says, Ellie, I really enjoyed your video of slap shoes.
Thank you, Blake. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Another one from Snappy. Logano pulling a Kenseth is winning the Cup, and in winning the Cup and angering NASCAR into another format change, I would laugh so hard. Logano equals 2007 Giants to Larson's Patriots. That would be a big enough upset. That would be a big enough upset. You might see. I mean, they didn't change the NFL playoffs, I don't think, after 07, but they could change.
NVR owner pointed out to me in the chat earlier that basically Logano is the 2019 Titans that went to the AFC Championship from an away team wild card.
I'm going to do 3 more here in a row. Larso says, why has Elliott struggled? No race winning speed. Maybe he's been in the top 5, top 10 all year. No, he's not leading laps like his teammates, but he's been in the mix. I wouldn't say he struggled. Zardy, I believe this is French. Maybe this is Spanish or French. I don't know. I think it's multiple languages actually, but they're translated. It is what it is into two or three different languages. I recognize the Spanish. Es lo que es. It is what is, I think is how that translates. Anyway, then finally from Gavin Adcock, fun fact, Larson has won a race in 5 of the last 6 rounds of the playoffs. That is a fun fact, if you're a Kyle Larson fan, at least. I lied. I want to end with this one real quick because it was a nice comment. Lawson Murphy says, "Hey guys, first super chat, long time watcher." Well, we really do appreciate the support, Lawson. And they add, "I think the Bowman DQ shouldn't have been a DQ, more like a fine. I think we need to look at the post-race weighing being removed permanently, in my opinion." Ooh, I don't know about that.
No.
It's one of the few black and white rules we actually have.
Hey, real quick, before we go to lightning round and everything, a question was posed to Bob Pockris about the fact that Front Row had purchased one of the SHR charters too. And it's
a good question.
Basically right now it's unclear. There's nothing in the filing showing whether NASCAR's approved it or not. So it's just going to get muddier.
Basically say, nope, you don't get that.
Yeah, Bob put that out
there's a
4
reason
minutes ago.
Neither Front Row nor 2311 have announced their third driver yet. I think that's probably why.
Let's see.
So they could still be 2-car teams. Anyway, that's this first Super Chat stage break. Thank you for the comment, Lawson. Definitely feel bad for Bowman, but I don't think NASCAR got the call wrong. I think the call is what it is. It just sucks. Very costly.
Yeah, that's why I'm just saying it is what it is. I can't get too mad because it just is what it is.
Es lo que es.
Here's the official
like
thing
that.
that Bob put because he edited the tweet. He said Haas signed the extension for 4 charters. Both FRM and SHR plan to purchase one, and it is up to NASCAR to approve the transfer of those charters. So nothing in the filing has shown anything about it yet.
Could NASCAR theoretically just take those 2 away?
I mean, they want to run their own team, right?
Yeah, no, the France family racing coming 2025 sooner than you think. Well, it sounds like they're already prepared to run with only 32 charters for next year. They've already balanced the budget accordingly. So
yeah,
maybe it's temporary, but
so if there were any plans to say you can buy them but can't use them, their wording would be 30. So that basically tells me they're going to keep 2 charters.
Yeah, we'll see.
Remember when like 50 cars used to show up every weekend?
Yep,
those were good times.
Oh yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Well, that's going to do it for the first Super Chat stage break. The rest of the Super Chats will be read at the end of the show coming up soon. Thank you all so much for the support. Jarrett, just got a weather alert on my phone. The season is changing. There's a chill in the air.
And he just got struck.
I think it's time for the lightning round. What do we got tonight?
Actually quite a bit. It's kind of a meteor lightning round, if you will. Meteoric, yes. Looking at a couple things here. One, of course, just for everybody to know, we got our own channel we re-upload each episode to, so if you can't catch it live at NWP Clips, which is just NWP, we got some plans for that, especially into next year. NASCAR is in talk with IMSA leaders, which is, if I remember right, just kind of themselves and people they work with, about having a future event that both series compete in, according to Adam Stern.
Except 2311 in Front Row.
Yeah,
as an open car.
Alan Bestwick will be the lead announcer for IndyCar on Fox, according to Jenna Fryer. So
I did see that just before the show. Actually,
that's amazing.
Danny hitting the gong.
I'm going to hit it 4 more times than that. Just be ready.
It kind of blows my ear up, but okay. Bubba Power will be back in the Xfinity race at Martinsville in a Sam Hunt car, so there's that. Darian Grubb is now the new crew chief for the 16 at Colleague.
Interim. They'll have supposedly a new name for 2025.
NASCAR said, quote, they are intrigued to run a street course out in San Diego Bay. So there's that.
That'll be the IMSA event, IMSA companion event, San Diego. I don't know.
Probably. Taylor Gray will be running full-time in JGR's 54 Xfinity entry for 2025, an entry that is also going to be listed as the car owner being Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is now a Xfinity car owner in 2025.
Now I feel old. He's younger than me, and he owns a damn race car.
From one TG to another, the 54 is meant for TGs.
Todd Gilliland getting it. Next.
Ryan Truex has been kicking ass all year, and he can't get a ride to save his life for more than like 8 races.
A lot of people are
Corey
really
Heim.
mad that Truex and Heim.
Like, I know, I get it. It's a big money thing and all, but it's like, man, we're really making the series less interesting when we don't have good enough drivers in these cars.
I mean, let's be real. Did you really think Ty Gibbs was going to let Corey Heim drive this car?
Could let Ryan Truex.
Yeah, I know it is. I don't want to sound like I'm anti-Taylor Gray. I think he's the more talented Gray brother. I think he's shown some glimpses. He is at least in the Truck Series playoffs. He hasn't won a race while his teammate has 6. His teammate's not getting a promotion, though. That's what's so frustrating is Corey Heim, Ryan Truex, I would argue, are both Xfinity ready, full-time Xfinity ready, and they're getting passed over because I imagine Taylor Gray, the finances make more sense there. That Joe Gibbs Racing is becoming the most uninteresting Xfinity team. Brandon Jones, Taylor Gray, he is 19. Like, he could be great. We don't know. I'm sure he's not bad. He could be good.
And what's the future with Chandler Smith too?
I think originally he was maybe a candidate for the front row car, but if that's not happening, maybe he stays, and that would at least be something because I think Chandler's proven he's a contender. He's a championship contender.
Theoretically, in the Xfinity Series, there is no real limit on how many cars they can field. If they get enough funding, they could get 5 cars even if they really wanted to, but
and to finish off the lightning round really quick, next week will be on Danny's channel, October 23rd. Danny, it is, I believe, the last show of the year on your channel, so we need to figure out how to make it special, like a little extravaganza.
Yeah.
That's a good word, extravaganza.
But that's lightning round. I will now strike Eric once more, right in the neck.
Hopefully I get superpowers. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We've narrowly reached our 600 like goal. My screen says 585. Is that correct?
That's right.
586. All right. Well,
587.
We have a couple more topics, and then sounds like we will be doing our random driver of the week segment coming up short. Let's talk about some headlines this week, beginning with Hailie Deegan. She's heading to Indy next, full-time next year. She's going to race, I think it's 14 races. That's their schedule. First race, I believe, is St. Petersburg in March. Hailie Deegan is going open wheel racing. She announced it this week. Gentlemen, thoughts? How do you think she'll do, first and foremost?
Not great.
Reverse Danica.
It just depends on how much
she's the next Jimmy Johnson.
It depends on how much you want to focus on driving and how much you want to focus on social media creations.
So that's the depressing part about all this is like, I don't know when the point was, but it at least publicly feels that way. It's like it went from race car driver with a YouTube channel to YouTuber that occasionally drives race cars, and it's like, to each their own. Go for it. Like their stuff is actually really good. Like, I'm not taking away from that. It's just kind of depressing to me because she really did have a ton of potential, and she could come back to NASCAR at some point. She's young. She could come back. But it really does feel like at this point, if she does, she's going to have to go back at least to trucks or ARCA at some point because there's no momentum. The momentum is against her now. Instead of being on a wave, she's going against the waves now.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, so you go ahead, Connor.
Okay, thank you. I personally, I don't know how well she's going to do. That's one of those things time's going to tell. But I like the move personally because she wasn't getting it done in NASCAR. And when you're driving for, she drove for Thor Sport, right?
Yeah, Thor Sport, DGR.
Yeah, and she wasn't doing anything with it. So, you could keep pushing chips in like Danica did, and I'm sure she got a lot of money for doing so. And it seems like Hailie's getting a lot of money now from all those YouTuber sponsorships. But yeah, I think it's a good move personally.
Yeah, I don't fault her for the YouTube channel and the social media stuff because I mean that is so important nowadays for building a driver's brand. And to Connor's expression, it is money. It's an opportunity to bring in a sponsorship that allows you to chase better and better rides. So I don't entirely fault her for that. Has it been a distraction? Sure, maybe, but the bigger story is she just stopped improving after about 2019. Those first couple of years in K&N West, she hadn't been in stock cars on asphalt very long, and she looked pretty good. I know the competition wasn't steep. Derek Kraus was her toughest competition. He's fine, but that was it. But she looked good. felt like she could hold her own. I thought she was fearless, like she didn't look intimidated by, this new competition. But then she got to ARCA, main ARCA, and the cracks began to show. She couldn't win in, top equipment. She was fine, but we're not winning. Then trucks, wasn't running top 10 or top 5. Xfinity, it's a disaster. To Jarrett's point, the momentum has been against her for at least a year or two now, and I think in that case, a dramatic career move is reasonable, but I don't anticipate an off-road driver who spent the last 5 years in stock cars suddenly having a great career in the IndyCar pipeline. I think that's going to be challenging. Well, let's get David Landon here next week. He'll give us a real educated opinion on this, but I find the challenge ahead of her very, very steep.
I just, for me, and I think this is kind of where I kind of jumped off the bandwagon, if you will. It's just the excuses that fans will make. It wasn't her making excuses. I want to make this abundantly clear. She was not the one out there making excuses. And she had things go against her. AM Racing trash.
AM Racing turned out to not be as good as Brett Moffitt made them look last year.
but I think like truck wise, ARCA wise, like it just constantly became excuse after excuse. It's like, well, the team's not doing this. It's like, well, the team just won a championship. This team isn't doing this. It's like, well, sometimes like you got to put it on the driver to elevate it. If the driver has that talent, at times they can elevate the team. And there was never a point that she really, as a driver, seemed to change or be elevated. And she's of course the one. She's an adult. She signed off on it. But I have to kind of think that her team, or maybe I don't know if it's like her family in it or whatever, but whoever's idea it was, one, to jump over to Ford, but two, to continue to rush her up, gave her no chance whatsoever. Like she was destined to fail at that point. And I saw some saying like Kenny Wallace is saying that like, NASCAR's not ready for a woman driver. I don't think it's that. I think it's that the way that they handled it was completely wrong for any young driver. I don't care who they are, what they look like, whatever. And it's a shame because I really do think she had a ton of potential, and at this point it is completely wasted.
Yeah, I mean, Hailie Deegan's not the first driver with some talent and some funding to flame out of stock cars at a young age. Like the NASCAR isn't ready for a woman driver. I don't agree with that. I just think, like you said,
I think it's more than ready. We just haven't seen the right circumstances, the right one come along.
Well, the pool's a lot smaller. There are way fewer women in stock car racing or in professional racing, period, than there are men. So odds of finding the super talented one are less likely. It's just math. I mean,
it's going to be hard to just find like here's this lady who's as good as Kyle Larson now all of a sudden.
Go for it, Connor.
There's not very many men as good as Kyle. There's no men.
There's no men. Yeah, I was about to say, there's no men in the world like Kyle Larson. But I think someday we will see a female race car driver who can take it to the Cup Series drivers. But personally, I would argue that NASCAR is not ready for a woman driver, because if we look at Danica Patrick, Hailie Deegan, how they both got rushed up as fast as they possibly could. And I'm not blind. I see the comments on some of their posts. The culture is not ready for a female race car driver in the top ranks. Personally, that's just my opinion, but I think someday we will see it. It's a shame that Hailie Deegan, because she was very talented and she proved she had a lot of potential, but we just have to wait a little longer.
Oh yeah, any woman racer coming up through the ranks is going to face challenges that the men don't. They're also maybe going to have some advantages that the men don't. So it's difficult. It's tough to say. I will push back against her being rushed. She shouldn't have gone to Xfinity this year, but she spent 3 full years in trucks.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't think she got.
It didn't feel like it, and then 2 Xfinity. I won't say like
that might be true. She might have been rushed 2 trucks. I could give you that. She needs to do some like late model racing.
That's gonna screw you up though. I mean, like if you're like looking roots wise, like if you poison the roots of a tree, that tree is destined to rot from the inside. And
I think it was also the year she got to trucks was COVID, or it was the year after COVID, and practice and qualifying suddenly got slimmed down immensely. And I think that's also hurt the lack of track time.
But every young driver had to go through that. All series.
Well, in the last 3 years. And I'm saying there's not that many young drivers that have come up since 2021. I mean, there's the exceptional ones like a Carson Hocevar or Corey Heim that we agree are really, really, really good. She's not there. Ty Gibbs, she's not there. But like
But
she's a tier or two below that, and
yeah,
I think it was certainly a disadvantage coming
but
up in this era.
but my point is, like, every young driver since that time has had to come up the same way. Like, I don't really want to use that as much as an excuse, because it's like there are a lot more drivers in similar, sometimes less favorable equipment that have done the same or more. Like, she
obviously didn't have it. I'm just saying that more than, I think your point that she was rushed through the ARCA and K&N ranks is fair. I don't think she was rushed through trucks. They let her sit there for 3 years and it just never developed. So
compared to Danica, yeah, no, she
yeah,
got
like
she got
Danica was
years.
rushed. Danica was
I
crazy rushed.
I
Yeah.
had to check
Yeah.
my video and make sure that the timeline was ARCA in 2010, Cup Series in 2012. I had to double check and make sure that was right.
And really, ARCA doesn't count. They made a run Daytona, and that was it.
That's true. Yeah, that's just one race.
I think that was
Yeah.
like to get approval, like the way they did with
Yeah.
SVG,
Yeah.
so that she could run the Xfinity race
That's literally all it was
or
for.
races. But I do hope she comes back and is actually really good. I hope she does well over on the IndyCar side of it.
It'd be fun if she does. I hope it
She's a hell of a
comes to her
personality,
naturally
man.
and she's good. Oh yeah. I'm dying at Andrew in the chat saying, "How about that Danny Dye?" Just inserting Daniel Dye into every conversation. One more headline before we get into some of our fun games and surprises here. Spygate in NASCAR. So Jenna Fryer of the Associated Press dropped a bombshell report this week. She wrote that NASCAR is aware of allegations made by Joe Gibbs Racing that a former JGR employee stole proprietary data and sold that data to a rival Cup Series organization. NASCAR in this report clarifies that the team that has allegedly bought the stolen data is not a playoff team, does not have cars in the playoffs, but this is developing. No official complaint or lawsuit or anything has been filed by JGR or Toyota or anyone involved, but it sounds like much of the garage is aware that a probably former at this point, former JGR employee sold private data to a rival Cup Series organization. Wow. Don't really know where this is going. Everyone has a theory as to who's the team, who bought the stolen data,
I think everyone's pretty come to
I can say with very solid conviction, I know it's not Legacy, and not because of performance, but because I have multiple reasons not like to know at this point that it is not them.
I think everyone immediately is like, oh, it must be another Toyota team, because it would make sense that a Toyota team can use the Toyota data the best, but it's not 23XI. They pay for JGR data legally, and Legacy, to your point, has not shown any uptick in speed at any point this season, so it's probably not them. A lot of folks have spread this clip of Ty Gibbs. This was about 2 months ago. It was after the Richmond race that Austin Dillon won. Ty Gibbs was
a front stretch interview. Is that who did it?
I think it was Bob asked Ty Gibbs kind of about Austin Dillon winning that race and then getting the win encumbered effectively. And Ty Dillon sort of redirected the question suddenly.
Ty Gibbs.
And I'm sorry, yes, Ty Gibbs, not Ty Dillon. Ty Gibbs about Austin Dillon suddenly redirected and began suggesting that Austin Dillon and RCR had suspiciously found a lot of speed out of nowhere. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he said, "I'm really curious about how they went from being not good all season to suddenly really fast the past couple of weeks. I'm really curious about that."
Kyle Busch about won races the next few weeks after that.
So post-Olympic break, Kyle Busch had a 5th place average finish for like a month and a half. Kyle Busch has been terrible this year, but for about 6 weeks, he was a playoff contender. Austin Dillon obviously won at Richmond. Now, Austin Dillon's been good at Richmond in the past. He's never been that good at
Possible
Richmond.
deniability.
So I think that has caused all of social media to look at RCR. They're the leading suspect. We don't want to make any allegations here because obviously we have no hard evidence, just a lot of interesting details. We also know that Andy Petrie was suspiciously departed the organization around this time. So RCR is the top suspect, but we don't know. So I don't know. Well, Jarrett, where do you think this ends up? What's the next step? What do we find out next?
I don't think we'll ever find out who individually did it, but if JGR wants to push it, we'll find out the team. I mean, if it's a non-playoff team whatsoever, then it leaves 6 organizations. We can cross off Legacy. RCR, Spire, Front Row, JTG.
We can't cross
Collie.
anyone off officially. Let's be fair. We can't. I mean, the legacy may just suck. It may just not be any good.
Okay, sure.
We have to
play
be
that
fair,
game.
Jared. This you have to. Have you learned?
I'm being fair to common
no
sense.
legalese?
I am crossing off legacy because Jimmy Johnson would never cheat once in his entire career.
Not my goat.
Or what are you guys talking about?
Someone said we can't cross off NY Racing. Yeah, no, they're a suspect too. Add them to the list.
Maybe it was Live Fast at Daytona. They were pretty damn fast.
Hey, how'd BJ get so fast? I mean, I'm just saying.
Everyone's a suspect.
Well,
It wasn't because we were on his car last year, that's for sure.
let's at least kind of go through it a little bit. Like, all of these teams, not one of them, except for RCR, has changed anything in performance.
Spire's gotten a little better.
Spire's been on an upward trajectory all year, though.
Yeah.
Like, granted, to be fair. Zane Smith has 2 top 5s, and one of them came with 5 overtimes. Can't leave that one out either. That's another benefit to chaos. Let's be honest. Allegedly, let's just say it's RCR.
Theoretically.
Just theoretically. Is there any real rule that NASCAR can enforce against them to this, or is it just team to team? I mean,
they're going to take them to court.
I think it would have to be a team-to-team deal, right? Because
nothing NASCAR can really do about, just shady business deals.
So what, are they just going to pay damages?
I'm no legal expert here. Obviously, the employee would be in legal trouble for stealing and sharing proprietary data. They would be in trouble for sure. But I don't know how it works. Buying stolen data? Do you have to prove that you knew it was stolen? I mean, I assume if it's like you got a piece of paper with Joe Gibbs Racing on the top, it's not exactly, they're not exactly shy about it. I don't know. I don't know who gets in trouble. I don't know what the next steps would be.
I mean, I don't see anything like, points or fines or anything. I think it just probably something that gets settled out of court
or outside of the sanctioning body.
It'd just be, it would just be another giant L in a series of L's that RCR has taken in the past. How long has it been since Harvick's been gone from there? 12 years? 11 years?
Well, yeah, they've had a few moments.
It's been a downward spot. Yeah, but
it's
been a downward
year
spiral.
Has been ugly.
Yeah, you remember that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where like the 2 ships get tangled up in the giant like whirlpool?
Oh yeah.
Like that's RCR without another ship to be caught up in.
What do we have here now?
Just Tom Cruise.
Sorry, I had to put on my detective gear. This is the closest thing I had to detective gear. Now
we'll get you a
I want
stash.
You to I need a handlebar mustache. All right.
I just have an observation in your background when you walked away.
Uh-huh.
I like how you have that 48, 24, 88, and everyone just always tries to pretend that Casey Mears never existed in that time period.
Even Hendrick doesn't want to admit they exist.
It's always been a 4th Hendrick card I don't care about.
Even the glasses back then. I used to have these plastic cups that they like sold at the time for parties, and it was Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., and it's like we don't talk about the other guy.
I think the coloring book they sold didn't have Casey Mears in it. It was just those 3.
The 5 car only started existing when Mark Martin jumped over there, and that's canon. But before then, the only time Casey Mears existed in the 5 car was on Pop-Tarts. Okay, anyway, go for it, detective.
I think that the answer is clear. It's right in front of us. We're talking about JGR's information, JGR drivers. You think about who they are. Probably the best one, right? Well. Probably the best one historically that's in it right now, Denny Hamlin. And what does Denny Hamlin do? Plays basketball. That's what he does in his free time. He's friends with Michael Jordan. And you know who else plays basketball? Dun, dun, dun!
Oh, it was obvious this whole time.
All right, that's my bit.
All right, well, I took notes. I drew a smiley face with X's for eyes. We have our suspect.
There we go.
All right.
Now you gotta get the little faux hawk on it too.
Oh yeah, hold on. I gotta let's see. That looks like a character from Guitar Hero 3. All right.
It looks like a jack-o'-lantern.
Looks like the Blink 182 like album logo.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, chat's like, we knew it. It was just staring us in the face all along. How could we have missed it? Well, Spygate NASCAR edition will continue. To be continued, I should say. Gentlemen, we hit 600 likes. Do we just want to do the random driver of the week segment now, or do we want to do the accountability session first, Jarrett?
We could probably get through the accountability really quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was hoping we could put this off.
I like doing the accountability.
Don't worry, Eric.
Okay.
You're pretty clean this week. I
Oh,
think.
mine's good this week? Oh, never mind. Let's do accountability
I
segment.
didn't
He
say
said
good.
pretty. He didn't say it was really
I didn't
clean.
say
I'll take
good or-
pretty. Pretty is pretty.
All right, let's get on into it. For our prediction segment, where's the graphic again on this one? You're throwing me off guard here and all this graphic. All right, here we go. All right. So each host and guest will make up to 3 NASCAR motorsport or show related predictions. We'll do one a piece, just go around the room. We'll keep track each week, at least for the host ones. I have to go back on all the guest ones. I apologize. And just kind of keep them concise. Accountability. I got one right. I said Natalie Decker would lead more Xfinity Series laps this year than Haley Deegan, both of which are now officially out of the series, so I can say so. 7-0 Decker. Mike Joy. I said Mike Joy would be the lead announcer for the 2024 Indy 500. That was proven wrong. Alan Bestwick is probably a better choice.
Bestwick. Wow.
And I was right about this for about an hour. I said Alex Bowman would make the round of 8. Oof.
That's too bad.
I'll tell you what, if I lose by one prediction by the end of the year, I'm going to be so pissed.
I will say this. I'm sad Alex Bowman's out. I wanted that storyline to continue, but with Logano being in, my pre-playoff predictions are 100% accurate. I am 8 for 8.
Well,
so I'll take it.
So far, Eric, this week, nothing off the board. So you hold steady in a week that was very turbulent for me. So you gained on me. And Danny had the good week. So first off, he said The Rock, and he said this after Daytona, he said The Rock will not be the only WWE Grand Marshal in 2024, and this week there are 2. He said Haley Deegan would not run another race after her Xfinity departure. True again. And said there would be 5 or less total cautions at the Cup Roval race. I believe there were 5. 5 on the dot. What he got wrong, he had too much faith in Alex Bowman, saying he'd make the final 4 and finish top 5 at the Roval.
Yep.
But still a pretty solid week for Danny. And percentage-wise, I'm sitting at number 1 at 44.93% on the season. Eric's staying at 34.57%. And Danny back up to the 30s, 31.11%. So,
hey, get back in the 30s. I will take it.
I was about to trash on you guys for having these percentages, but my dumb ass had Ty Gibbs in the round of 8, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah, I'm just saying, batting percentage-wise, I'm not doing terrible,
That's pretty good.
But Connor, lead us off. What first prediction would you have heading into this week? It can be this week or next year, or anything in general.
I'll start off nice and safe. I think we've had it too good for too long. I think we're going to see an overtime finish, or maybe multiple this weekend. I'm going with that. We'll see multiple overtime finishes at Las Vegas. Besides Talladega, we've just had it too good.
Yeah.
Well, so I saw a bunch of stuff about like extracurriculars at the track and stuff, and I'm going to say one that's topical to our show. My prediction is that Tim Duggar will perform at 9 or more NASCAR weekends in 2025.
Are you going to keep track?
Mikey will keep track for me.
Keep in mind, he had like a 1 week where he like got sick or something like that. He had some other things come up, so you might not get that number.
Oh, man.
How many SMI races we got next year?
Good point.
At least 10.
Hey, did you see that? By the way, before we go, speaking of SMI, did y'all see that picture of the light that fell down in the grandstands?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Ooh. The funniest part, I didn't even notice that first because I was distracted by the grody ass seats they got up there. I thought that's what the picture was. But
that's what I thought at first, because I was like, I wonder, that's like a weird looking aluminum. That's a freaking light.
Come on, Marcus. Do we need to get Denny Hamlin out here again?
And he's probably just going to beg the state for more money.
Denny Hamlin's got Marcus Smith is lucky that that Denny Hamlin has so much on his plate right now, or that would have been another late night Twitter back and forth.
Eric,
it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy has the best average running position at traditional mile and a halfs this year. Ty Gibbs is going to be the best finishing non-playoff driver this weekend.
Danny.
Joey Logano will win in the round of 8.
Saw that one coming.
God, your eyes just look so hollow right now.
And not in the fun Pantera way.
Yeah.
Go for
second
it,
prediction.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Next year, Shane Van Gisbergen is going to make the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's a legit one.
Josh Berry this year has 10 DNFs so far. I think he will have exactly 11 DNFs on the year. I think he'll get at least one more for the years out. So Josh Berry will have 11 DNFs this season.
That's a fair bet. My next prediction, I got one more Las Vegas focused one, and it's that Kyle Larson, not necessarily going to be my pick to win, but I do think he will lead the most laps on Sunday.
Danny, he leaves us in suspense, man.
Jarrett, you can feel free to go back later and tell me if I accidentally double booked this one. But I don't think I've made this prediction yet.
I'll look now.
I'll just say it now. Joey Logano will win the championship.
You didn't make that one yet.
He's like, this is like his fourth Joey Logano prediction.
Well, I didn't know if I've made any championship predictions yet or not. But
no, you're good. But maybe you'll be like the Bowman one and you'll just like jinx it. All right, Connor, lead us off on the last run around the room.
All right. We'll do another safe one. Connor Zilich is going to be a 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. All right. I'll see you guys in 50 years. We'll see if I'm right.
You win 7 in a row.
Yeah.
Retires in 3 years ago, full-time dirt racing the rest of his life.
He's going to win 7 championships and retire at like 26.
All right, well, let's finish this off. I'll do one for this weekend. I think the Cup race will have a margin of victory under 1.1 seconds. I think it'll be a relatively close margin of victory.
Why not just say 1 second? Why 1.1?
Because I need to allot myself just that little bit of leeway. I like to go a step beyond.
All right. Okay.
Have you ever watched Price is Right, Eric?
Okay. 1.1. My final prediction. So even though he's out in the round of 12, everyone 5th through 16th in the playoffs kind of gets pooled back together how you did the entire playoffs when it comes to season-ending points. So I think Alex Bowman, as hot a start as he got off to in these playoffs, I think he ends the season 6th or better in points. So basically 5th or 6th. He can't finish 4th, 5th or 6th, Alex Bowman.
I like that one. That makes me feel better.
Your eyes lit up right there.
I've had to do 2 predictions that depress me. I'm not going to depress myself at number 3. This is for me. Tennessee will beat Alabama this weekend.
That'll be a fun one. Where is it at? Neyland? Where's it at?
It's at Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh, I got to watch that.
Mm.
Well, that'll do it. That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Excellent stuff. Tune in next week to see how we did on some of these predictions. Especially, we'll find out next week if the 7-time champion prediction came true.
So random driver.
Random. We still don't have a fun intro for this. Random driver of the week. Score is not looking good for me right now. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Danny is up 13-11. I'm on like a 3-week losing streak. I've blown it, chat.
That could be the score.
Season's almost over, Eric.
13-11.
I know. I got to start pitching a perfect game the rest of the way. Jarrett gives us one clue at a time. This could be any driver, Cup, Xfinity, trucks. Could have raced in any era. We're not allowed to look at the chat, so I'm turning off the chat for the next few minutes. But yeah, we each get 3 guesses apiece, so don't waste them.
Yeah, I turned off chat too.
It's like that Family Guy skit where Peter's playing poker.
Yeah. Detective mode back on.
So, by the way, just letting you guys know, Danny, you are on a hot streak. You got 2 in a row. Danny 2 weeks ago got Lee Petty, and Connor, you're a week late. He got Martin Truex Jr. last week.
I hate you.
Yeah, we couldn't give you any layups this week.
You know the funniest.
I gave it away with the hardest crash ever at Martinsville.
I watched that one back, and I would have missed it. My favorite driver, I probably would have missed it.
Wow.
So let's do this.
All right, yeah.
All right. Well, on that optimistic note,
let's get her in here. All right. This random driver was born in Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh.
Okay, got some Virginia boys out there.
By the way, I'm not going to let you know, but about how many clues this time around, just because I don't want people to.
That's a hint.
That's a hint.
I don't want people. I don't want people to hold. I don't want people to hold back on how many predictions they give. I like making it as difficult as possible. This random driver ran Cup races in a lot of different numbers. Those include 4, 5, 6, 8. 12, 15, 18, 19, 23, 48, 57, and 71.
Are those all the numbers they drove? Because you did this last week.
All of those are all.
Can you say that again?
5, 6, 8, 12, 15, 18, 19, 23, 48, 57, and 70.
Damn, I legit had a guess, and but
If
the
you
number
stopped at 5 and 6, I'd know, but no.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know who it is.
This random driver ran the vast majority of his Cup career in the 48 car.
James Hilton?
Is that your guess?
Yes.
Good guess. You got it.
What
Whoa.
the?
Yeah, let's go.
That was 3 clues
That was
in.
good. That was the
Yippee!
quickest ever.
That's got to be a record.
And he wouldn't have got Martin Truex Jr.
I wouldn't have gotten Martin.
This was not collusion, but you helped me get a prediction right. I said the guests would get one more right, at least one more right this year, and Eric said they wouldn't get any.
I mean, I didn't
I
have
made that
the
prediction.
chance to say. I heard 71 and just fought Dave Marcus. So
Yeah.
Well, when you said Roanoke, Virginia, isn't Elliott Sadler from Roanoke, Virginia? Or am I crazy
They're
off
from
on that?
Virginia. I don't know what.
No, it's not Roanoke.
Okay, because I was immediately thinking Elliott Sadler, but then you started rattling off the numbers, and I was like, "Damn it!"
Hell of a pull.
Yeah,
That
good
was
job.
good.
I couldn't get Martin Truex Jr., but I got James freaking Hilton.
I just opened up the chat.
Sadlers are from Emporia, Virginia.
Emporia, Virginia. I thought Boyer's from Emporia, Kansas. Why are there so many Emporias?
I ran a marathon in Emporium, Pennsylvania.
What is going on?
God, there's
It's
so
like the new Elm Street.
What's crazy is there's like so many different random, obviously for the segment, random clues I had on here. I had 29 clues ready to go, and with 26 of them are.
Sorry about that.
Nah, don't worry about it. That makes the fun of it. We have never had somebody get it in the first 3 before. Damn.
Well, I'll tell you what it
history.
was. For one of my high school classes, we had to design a website. And on the website, I decided to put every NASCAR paint scheme ever. And I started with 1949. So going forward, I saw that the 48 car was James Hilton, like from the 60s to the 80s. And that's my excuse.
That's an impressive pull.
So,
And I couldn't get Martin freaking Truex. God.
so I actually had, going back to something we were just talking about, Emporia. I looked up how many places there is in the world named Emporia. There's only 5 places in the world named Emporia, and we set just up to get 2 NASCAR drivers from 2 of them.
Wow, interesting.
There's Emporia, Virginia, Emporia, Kansas, Emporia, Indiana, Emporia, Florida, and Emporia Dodekanessos in Greece.
Shout out to our Greek viewers out there. If you're watching this from Greece right now, leave a comment.
All 3 of them.
If you're watching this from anywhere other than Greece,
If you're
leave a
watching from
comment.
Greece, recite your national anthem right now.
That's a fun pull right there. Well, congratulations to Connor, absolutely dominating Random Driver of the Week this episode. But gentlemen, all we've got left is our weekend preview, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Couple of notes: SVG driving the 16 in the Cup race, and Jimmy Johnson back in the 84. God, I just hope he sees the green and white checkered without issue. Can we get through one stage without something devastating happening to Jimmy Johnson,
Car
please?
doesn't start.
Oh, that something like that would happen.
I love the pictures of like Shaquille O'Neal on the Celtics. That's how I think of him now. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Why do you have to come back?
Brett Favre's second year on the Vikings. That's what it's like.
Pretty
Tough.
much.
The Xfinity Series races, the Ambetter Health 302. It's a 200-lap race. Stage breakdown is 45, 45, 111. Race is Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW. You can also listen on PRN, Sirius XM. Weather looks good. 73 degrees, mostly sunny, 1% chance of rain. I guess they have to put 1% just so, if it does rain, they don't look like fools.
Knowing NASCAR, it's gonna rain.
Riley Herbst is the defending winner. Remember, dominated this race a year ago to get his first career win. He is still in the playoffs, right? Yeah, right. So big chance to make some moves before Phoenix.
Just pop this up on screen then.
Oh,
The point. Are you looking at the points? Oh, he's not in the points anymore. Did he get eliminated? Oh yeah, he did get eliminated.
Wait, what happened to Parker Kligerman?
Or not. Let's not do that again. Yeah, I forgot Herbst is out. I forgot about the crash. Well, that's unfortunate. Really unfortunate. I'm sure they had this race circled. The Cup race Sunday is the South South Point 400, 267 lap race. Stage breakdown is 80, 85, 102, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday on a big NBC. Also, the NBC Sports app. You can listen on PRN and Sirius. The weather, again, looking good. 77 degrees and sunny. Oh, today they listed 0% chance of rain, so I guess it is possible. 0% chance of rain this weekend. That's music to my ears. Kyle Larson is the defending winner. He's won 2 straight Las Vegas Cup races, both times holding off a close, hard-charging Toyota. So I think predictions are going to be interesting this time around for sure. We're into the home stretch, boys. The chat, it pains me to say, is now leading the pick points once again, but I have them right where I want them. 5 points back, but I get to pick ahead of them. That could be big these final few weeks. Jarrett, 21 points out. Danny as well. Co-basement boys here on the panel.
Jarrett
This
gets
is
the
going to be.
tiebreaker with more wins.
Oh, he does. I see that now. It's close, 11-8. So
I think
4 races to go. It's still anyone's ball game, truthfully. But chat, we can officially say this is a back and forth.
Hey, I just
We
want
have
to
traded the lead.
I want to put it like this too. 5 weeks ago, Eric was 21 back, and he since had taken the lead and then lost it. So we got time.
No need to panic. No need to panic
I
for
keep
anyone.
saying, I think.
Saying stop the count in the chat.
I keep saying, I think 4th may be where you want to be come Phoenix.
You want to be 4th, like 5 points out of the lead.
4th, like
Yeah.
like I was 11 points back and 4th a few weeks ago. That is where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Now do it like NASCAR. Reset them. Just reset the points.
Ooh, winner take
It all comes down to Phoenix.
Just like forget it all. Forget all this.
It's turning into whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. Nobody's keeping score. Well, we'll start with the Xfinity Series race. Order. Oh, I guess guest is here. So Connor, you will lead us off. You get to play spoiler, making the first pick. You can take someone big off the board. Who wins the Xfinity race at Las Vegas?
I'll go with Cole Custer. I like Cole Custer.
Fair enough.
He's been solid.
All right. Then I guess Jared owns the tiebreaker, so Danny is up next.
I'm going with his teammate, Riley Herbst.
Oh.
Thank you. You left my number 1 guy on the board, Eric Almirola.
Yeah.
Thought about him too.
Brutal. I'm not even looking at who the chat's
The
picking. I
chat's
promise.
mad. That's who they wanted.
Yeah,
I wasn't
wanted
even
Eric
looking.
Almirola.
I don't want to
Yeah.
be influenced.
So I will take the third part of that epic 3-way battle at Kansas a couple weeks back. I'll take Chandler Smith.
And I think the chat may go Allgaier. They were going 81, but now they gotta go.
Yeah,
7.
they're
That's the
going
next
Allgaier.
one.
That's a good pick. Can he right the ship though? It's been a rough few weeks.
Hey, remember he's Hamlin of this series. So
Yeah. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, next is our Cup Series suck pick. This one we can have overlapping picks. So Connor, less pressure here, but who's going to suck in the Cup race?
I think after last year, I want to choose my driver, but at this point, he's kind of a non-factor. I hate saying that. God, that hurts.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with a factor. I'm going to go with somebody who's in the playoffs, Denny Hamlin. I think he's very distracted right now. He's got a lot on his plate, and I think that's going to find his way to the performance.
All right, Danny, what about you?
someone who's come to life a lot these last few weeks, but I don't think he will do as well this week, even though he won at a track pretty similar. I'm going to say Ross Chastain as my suck pick. And by that, I mean probably like maybe 25th or something like that.
Yeah. Something must go wrong then.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Just something go wrong. They're kind of, the afterthought right now at this point.
This guy's teammates are pretty good here overall. When they're able to do well and finish. But I think that Cindric, I think he'll probably run in the teens or 20s.
I like what Connor did picking a playoff guy. I think the 8th fastest playoff guy is going to be Joey Logano. I know he's historically been good at Las Vegas in the spring, but even this last year in the spring, didn't he win the pole, but like drop and finish like 10th? Like he was fine, but like 10th isn't great when you get to the round of 8. You need to be top 5, and I don't think he will. So I'm going to say Joey Logano.
It's a good thing that Malcolm Roots is live, according to some people in chat, because they're all picking Jimmy Johnson.
I'm seeing a lot of Jimmys.
There's some for Logano, but a lot are picking Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I accidentally scrolled up to where all the 7s were. I was like, guys, LaJoie's not in that car anymore. You don't have to pick him.
All right. Dark horse pick. Connor, kick us off.
Kyle Busch.
I
I
like it.
can't even believe that's a dark horse pick these days, but Kyle Busch.
I like it. I like it. Home
Money
track.
on
The
him just
dark
for the hell
horse
of it.
these days.
I might put money on him just for the hell of it. I mean, he was pretty
For the
good here.
storyline.
He was fast in the spring. If it wasn't for his team, he would have probably got a top 5.
Do you think Kyle Busch would cry if he wins?
No,
No, but
hell no.
Can you even picture Kyle Busch crying after a win? Has he ever
No.
done that?
Nope.
the dude didn't
think
cry
he
with a
would.
compound fracture. I don't think he's crying at anything. Danny.
Sorry.
Danny's just spacing out thinking of Bowman
no, he
being
did
in
cry.
this round.
Chicagoland.
I'm just
He
thinking,
literally
trying to
did this
imagine
after
Kyle Busch
Chicago.
crying, and I can't think anymore now.
The most genuine cry I've ever seen.
Yeah, he literally cried right into the camera at Chicago.
There's
Well,
gifs
I
of it
was-
everywhere.
I was over in turn 4, so I couldn't see it from there.
My cup underdog, Bubba Wallace.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with somebody who's this team, this organization, actually ran really fast with a driver who's currently not there anymore. But I think that Carson Hocevar, I think he can get a top 10.
Nice. That's a good one. They've had top 10 speed lately. I think Zane Smith could even do it. But I'm going to go with the guy I mentioned earlier. I think Ty Gibbs. This is his type of track. This is a good track for all of Joe Gibbs racing. I think Ty Gibbs will be in the mix late. And Chat, I think, was agreeing with your Hocevar pick, Jarrett, for a dark horse. So we'll give him Carson Hocevar as the dark horse, which means finally who is going to win the South Point 400? Connor, big moment. You get to take whoever you want off the board. I know you're thinking you like Martin Truex Jr. I know that. He's probably a good pick here. You're probably thinking maybe a Bubba Wallace. He's been good at mile and a halves, right? That's who you're going to pick, right? That's who you got?
I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 03 draft. There's only one pick, really. But
No, don't do it.
I'll spare it. You know what? I think it's too obvious. If I say it, it's too obvious. It's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick. He finished runner-up here in the spring. He's had good speed, and now they got a chip on their shoulder over at 23-11. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they went all the way?
Ooh, I can imagine it.
But also, more importantly, y'all get to choose the other guy.
I didn't even think about this. I should just let Connor take who we all want to take, because then at least it wouldn't impact the point.
That's true, actually. This kind of shuffles it.
Whoops. All right, well,
All right, Danny.
Alex Bowman, man, he's due, right? He's gonna bounce back big way.
Christopher Bell won here last year.
I'm really bad at manipulating people. Can you tell? I'm terrible at this.
Gotta learn from
There's
Danny.
somebody I want to pick, but I'd be dumb to let the other one pass.
No, you
So
wouldn't.
I'm,
I mean, you
I'm
gotta
just
take a
gonna
risk.
take Kyle Larson, but
Ah.
I wanted to say Joey Logano so bad.
No one's stopping you. All
I'm just
right.
gonna have to take Kyle Larson.
And then I will take Christopher Bell.
Oh man, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Denny Hamlin.
And
Oh, buddy.
it's hard to tell. I'm seeing some 24. I'm also seeing 22 a lot.
I'm seeing a few more 24s.
Yeah,
I'm seeing a lot of 24s. I
going
think it's Willie
24.
B.
There went like 3 22s in a row.
Bad boy Byron. He's finished second or third in 3 straight races. So hard to pick against that kind of momentum.
Someone in the 20s. I mean, are we gonna lock it down at 24, or are we doing a poll?
It
I think
definitely
it's
looks like
24.
20. Yeah, I think it's 24. I'm not
I'm
gonna
seeing
go-
more 24 and 22
Yeah.
now.
Hey, shout out Gino. I see you in there. I see you in the chat.
But I will
Danny
say
hitting the gong again.
Joey Logano was originally my number one, but I'd be dumb to let Kyle Larson not
No,
be
you
there.
wouldn't. You would have given him to me.
No, you're giving them to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given him to you.
Hey, you might have thought about it.
Hey, I'm walking here.
All right. Well, that's our picks for Las Vegas. The round of 8 kicks off Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. on NBC.
Viva
To wrap-
Las Vegas.
To wrap things up tonight, I'm going to get through the rest of these super chats. Final super chat stage break. Let's see. We left off here with Zay Rush. Me and the homies absolutely despise of the NASCAR officials this weekend. Revenge for the 48s. There's 10 thumbs ups on this super chat. Hear, hear. Daniel Meredith Jr. I missed the tandem racing. Bring it back. I think my favorite ongoing Twitter thread is oh my gosh, wait, I'm blanking on his name. Oh no, now I can't believe I'm forgetting his
Context
name.
clues, Eric. Give us some context clues.
Tandem racing is dead. Me, and it's like a tow truck pushing like somebody
yeah.
like down the track.
Uh,
Oh
I've
wait,
seen
who?
those.
Steve Luvender. That's who it is. Steve
Yeah.
Luvender posted that thread. He keeps updating that thread. It's like a 6-year-old thread. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, Lawson Murphy again with a 5. I think the caution came out too soon, in my opinion, in the Xfinity race. They should have waited until the white flag. I mean, to your point earlier, Jarrett, they've done that before. So I understand why fans would be like, why did you throw it this time? What about those other times? I get it. I don't think it was the wrong call. I just think the other races were the wrong call.
Oh yeah, sorry. One more thing. I've been stewing. I'm trying to remember the last point about that. Why were we trying? We're not even looking at the caution flag. We're not even looking at the caution light. At one point, we were looking at frame by frame when the caution button was pressed. When the hell did? Never mind.
Yeah, it all matters until sometimes it doesn't matter, and they just wing it. Ross Crashdane, if or NASCAR could try local yellows. Ooh, I think where was
At
Kligerman
Bristol.
wrecked? Yeah, I think Kligerman was wrecked. Not Kligerman. I'm sorry, Honeyman was wrecked like in turn 3. So leaders would have been coming up on him quick. They would have had to be careful with how they play that, I imagine. But Daniel Meredith Jr., another one, says, I think it was dangerous how the 48 was flying. What would have happened if the 48 went straight into the wall? Could it put fans in danger? Roval bad. I like how they punctuate that there. Roval bad. I don't think Bowman ever got enough air to clear the like 4 or 5 foot tall safer barrier. Maybe
You're not going fast enough to worry about it there.
no, not in that section, but
But
certainly
if his
the
car was too light, then maybe it would.
it takes
That's
off
how he got up off the air.
like a paper
Fly
plane.
like an eagle.
TVP, this was earlier when the breaking news about the lawsuit and NASCAR's response came in. This was just TVP 83, longtime viewer of the show, alerting us to the new media. Another one from Zayrush here. Some people say this is the greatest round of 8 all time, or at least the most leveled field. Do y'all agree or not? If Bowman was in, I'd say maybe.
I'd say yes if Bowman were in.
Logano, you look at his resume, you're like, oh, 2-time champion, absolutely. But you look at what he's done this year, or the lack of what he's accomplished this year, and you're like, nah. There was a year, was it 2016 maybe? Or 2018? There was a year that was really, really, really strong.
I think
2016.
2016 was.
Yeah, that had Jimmy still at the end of his peak. I think in 2016 you had all 4 Gibbs guys, so Kenseth, Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, all in their peaks.
I would even consider 2015 because you had Jeff Gordon, you had Martin Truex, and you still had Edwards, Kozlowski, all those guys. You had the past,
Yeah.
present, and future.
Yeah. So I think one of those is probably the strongest still. Oh yeah, 2018 was the half Stewart Haas year. That was not the I've misremembered.
Almirola.
Yeah,
Almirola,
no
one pass
disrespect.
away from the championship.
Clint
floor.
Boyer and
50
Eric
points.
Almirola, probably not. Yeah.
Yep.
SK Ables, thank you for the 10. 24 or 45 championship. Larson will do something at Phoenix to take himself out of contention, and the 48 will win 2 races, including Phoenix, proving that he was going to win the championship. I could buy the first 2 sentences. I don't think Alex Bowman, as much hype as praise as we've given him this show, I don't think he's winning 2 races the rest of the year.
I see him winning a race, maybe.
Doesn't he kind of notoriously struggle at Phoenix? I know he was great there when he was like filling in for Dale Jr.
Ever
all those
since
years ago.
2016, yeah, it's not been that great.
Well, just needs to recapture some of that 88 magic, I guess.
But he has won at 2 of the 3 tracks in this round.
He's won at Las Vegas and Martinsville, yeah. BLS_Jimmy84. Hi, all. Hope y'all are doing well. Not expecting a difference from spring to fall Vegas. TBH will just be another Larson dominance. Could be. Absolutely could be. He's easily the favorite, deservedly so. But long race. Couple here from NASCARson. Hey, NWP guys. Roval, Xfinity. Screw NASCAR for robbing Parker's win. I don't necessarily agree with the robbing part, but sure, NASCAR blew it. Cup.
Blame Leland Honeyman's left front tire.
Yeah, that's the true culprit here.
Yeah.
Cup was boring. Larson again. If playoffs weren't going on, that race was boring. Bowman was robbed after the race. After Bowman being robbed after the race was a storyline. Bowman was robbed. Can't say the 48 was robbed though. They gotta tighten that ship up. But thank you for the
It was a team mistake,
Carson.
not a driver mistake. I think that's the takeaway you need to have.
He also asks, has anyone been to Las Vegas? I'll be there this weekend. If so, what should I check out while in Vegas? Right around the track, there's some restaurants, and I think there's a go-kart track there as well. I've not spent much time in Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas. Like I haven't been on the strip or anything like that. Um, that's not for everyone, I suppose, but I mean, it is one of the entertainment capitals of the world, I'm sure. So,
You got to check out Eminem's World. They still have the race car in there, but because they're
oh,
not linked to Kyle Busch, it
That's
just
right.
has a bunch of random M&Ms on it. It's kind of funny.
oh, there you go. That's an actual good recommendation there from Connor. Atmos 1, SHR to front row, charter turns into the France family team. It could be, yeah, the 75 car or whatever, or the 90. I was gonna say the 40. It'd be the 49 car, NASCAR's first season or something. I don't know.
Are they looking for sponsorship?
Uh, Thomas Ortiz says NASCAR officiating is so bad it'll be in the lawsuit. What are they gonna? They're gonna sue over bad calls. Isaac V24 asks, speaking of spies, what's your favorite spy film? Mine is Skyfall.
That's a good one.
Favorite Spy Kids. That
Spy
slapped as a
Kids
kid.
2.
Love that.
That one was
Steve
pretty
Buscemi.
good too. Yeah.
Danny, please say Spy Kids 3.
What was the video game one?
I don't know that I really
3.
watch a ton of spy movies, honestly.
Then just say Spy Kids 3D.
Okay,
Yeah.
Spy Kids 3. Yeah, it's the greatest of all time.
And I love Casino Royale.
We have 3 men of cinema and you.
The chat saying Cars too. I guess that would count.
But not necessarily a spy movie, but a detective movie or murder mysteries. You should watch all of the like Death on a Nile and all those types of movies. Haunting in Venice is the newest one of that series.
Hercule
Three.
Poirot.
Attack of the Clones. Obi-Wan does some spying in that. We'll just ignore the rest of it.
Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah, so add them all to your list. Add them to your letterbox and get to it. Homework chat.
Herbie Fully Loaded, the crazy NASCAR driver. He goes spying on Herbie that one time. So
That
it's a
one
spy
scene,
movie.
yeah. Dominion 42, thank you for the 10. Coming in late, have y'all seen the new stuff coming out from the lawsuit saying that NASCAR is prepared to go ahead with 32 charters and is already appropriating potential payout money? Yes, we have, Dominion. I don't know if you've gone back in the show at all. It was right around the first hour mark.
When I come back in, that's when it happened.
Yeah, that's it.
You're gonna find another super chat later. Be like, never mind. I saw you guys talked about it.
Yeah, maybe. I see Herbie's on the fence in the chat. I love that line. Alan Bestwick, beautiful delivery, even when it's fictional. Zardy, speaking English this time, not translating it is what it is into 37 different languages, says, I finally watched the Xfinity race and was glad to see Sam win. He kind of gives me, okay, I don't know. But he says, sad to see the hate on him. Cup ride soon. I think he was hoping for that front row seat. Not sure if he's going to get it now that there's potentially no charter there. But Sam Mayer is such a boomer bust driver. If he's not winning, he's crashing out. Sometimes it's his fault, sometimes it's not. But we like Sam Mayer on this show. We see that he clearly has potential, just has to channel it more consistently. Fred Dog 81, thanks for the 10. Would you consider pairing Vegas with Phoenix or even Sonoma for a second West Coast swing, but in the playoffs? I think Sonoma would look better in the fall than as a standalone event in dry grass June.
What SMI
Maybe.
date would you take out for it? New Hampshire.
Also, there's a reason that grass looks better. It rhymes with other H'er, and she doesn't like us.
Oh well, yeah. You might get an unusually damp Sonoma race. That could be
Hey,
fun.
I went to 21 Coda.
Ooh, we do have rain tires.
Yeah, that could be fun actually.
That might be good.
I'd be down.
Mudslide Sonoma. I don't know. Ryan Fussner, thanks for the 5. Jimmy making Jeff Gordon's Mount Rushmore bid firmer, one race at a time. Oh man. I don't know about that. No, you can't. You're not taking Jimmy off.
His average finish is going down with each one. So
that is true. That is undeniable.
To be fair,
but nobody with Jimmy Johnson, nobody's like, oh, look at that average finish. We're looking at a few other stats.
Yeah, to be fair, when Jeff Gordon came back, even in the 88, I'm pretty sure competed for a couple races like at Martinsville. So like
he did.
It's just been ugly for you, Jimmy fans. That's what you get for everyone selling their soul to the devil for those championships.
Snappy says Danny B, the Manchurian candidate for Joey Logano. There you go. That's funny.
Have been activated.
Oh my God, Chap Braden, Legacy Motor Dud.
Dang. Jupiter Rain, what about having independent refs for NASCAR? I don't know if they would sign off on that, but
like the NFL had that one year? You mean the year that every single call was awful, people were allowed like 5 timeouts and we got 5th downs? No.
Yeah. No, it probably wouldn't be great.
Just fix what you have now.
Alessandro Sebastian, Ellie, your recent video with Slap Shoes about the 1992 Cup season in its entirety was well put together. A month's work that is worth the wait. Also, what made you become a Truex fan?
Well, thank you, Alessandro. I appreciate your words. I want to do a 3rd wardrobe change.
My gosh, he is prepared. Why don't we prepare this hard, guys? We're getting lazy.
We do it every week.
Oh, there we go. That's a
Danica Patrick could have been driving for that team, and she'd become my favorite driver. So this kind of solidified it. I'm keeping this jacket on.
That's a cool jacket. Not gonna lie, that's nice.
Oh, I'll be wearing this in Martinsville in a couple weeks.
Sweet.
Nice.
Dominic Apps. Everyone says if it weren't for the playoffs, it would have been a boring race. So what they're saying is the playoffs is working for its intended purpose. Yeah, or they could also be saying that the car needs to drive better or worse at road courses and be more of an exciting event. It could be both. But that brings up a good point. As one of the largest playoff defenders on this show, I won't argue with that. Andrew Winslow, fun fact, Casino Royale was filmed on the site of the greatest cinematic line, I don't like sand. Jarrett knows the line.
It's rough.
Hashtag John Boyega for James Bond.
It gets everywhere. Not like here. Here is smooth.
We have a couple of music related questions. One of them, I don't know what it means, to wrap up the show tonight. First from Rouser, favorite MCR song without Welcome to the Black Parade. I'm not sure.
That is my favorite.
Yeah,
that's like the only one of theirs that I know.
Teenagers.
I know Teenagers. I don't love that song. I like Black Parade pretty well.
I like how didn't they like just recently do like a get together and come back? Because I know that like the original singer of like 3 Days Grace is coming back and stuff.
I don't know anything. So I found out, is it true that My Chemical Romance only ever did like one album?
It's like 1 or 2, I think. It was like a very small amount. It's kind of like Velvet Revolver. Like Velvet Revolver had like all these really great songs around that time, and I think they only had like 2 major albums, and one of them sucked ass.
Interesting. Well, I don't know much about them. Someone said 4 albums.
It was a small. I don't know the exact. I just know it was small. I was not. Like,
I thought I remember hearing it was like one big album they did, and I was like, and they got that big, like that much staying power. Maybe I'm wrong. Do Chronic in the chat has no idea who we're talking about, unfortunately. And I have no idea what this question means. I'm afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it because I think it's okay to say. Ferg asks thoughts on Brat and the new remixes.
If you're asking me anything about music nowadays, I've completely tuned out because it's absolute trash, and I will be a snob on this.
Oh man, we've got Snob Jarrett coming on. That's how you know we've gone over 2 hours.
Yeah, I got a Van Halen shirt on right now.
Oh yeah, it does. We did establish that earlier.
We have unlocked something of him with this shirt.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
a music snob and a cinema snob.
I've seen the meme, like the album cover where it's like just green and the word Brat. That's it.
Oh, I have not seen that.
I didn't know there was an album.
You've educated us, Ferg. Oh my gosh, a few more just came in here. Napa Racing fan, will CW do a remote booth? Final Roval in 2025? Just 2 questions there. Sounds like they're leaning towards doing a remote booth, at least for some events, which obviously would be a cost-cutting measure. I don't like it, but
I hope they reconsider. The only people that defended that on social media, like a lot, and not just like, well, I can see where they're coming from, but like actually really defended it and fought for it, were people that work for NASCAR.
Yeah. Matthew Allen says full Jordan scheme on 11 in 2025 to piss NASCAR off. That'd be cool. Funny.
Yeah.
It would probably look really sharp on the 11. They look good on the 45 when they do it. Fred Dog 81, I think this is the final super chat. Wait, the yellow flag caution came out right before Lou said good night. You have to continue the podcast. I have the timestamp to prove it. Oh, I see. All right, we're going to overtime, folks. I guess
God, not again.
yellow
What
light
do we
must have
talk
come
about?
on somewhere.
Anyone seen any more of those Moo Dang videos?
What was that? Is that hippo?
Yeah,
that I keep
yeah.
seeing everywhere.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Is this the new
It's
Harambe?
just a little pygmy hippo. Well, no. She's alive.
For now.
No terrible parents have dropped their kid in. They actually have a guard there for her now, so that people don't throw stuff like food to her.
Wow.
Or
my
kids.
This is
at
a
her.
diva hippo.
My fiance has been like just infatuated with this hippo, and it's cute. Don't get me wrong.
Where is the hippo? Is it America?
China, I think.
Oh.
I thought it was India. Maybe it's either China or India. I don't know.
It's not
I don't
this
know
side of the world.
I don't know if it was
Dang.
real, but I saw a clip of like I think it was a Chinese zoo painted some dogs to look like panda bears. Is that true, or have I been lied to by social media?
It sounds like it could be. By the way, I've seen people asking about our thoughts on chicken, and I would just hold on. I'm getting the emojis.
Chicken Weekly
ready.
podcast.
We do it. The show has
talked-
devolved
Hippo
into
was
that.
in Thailand.
Thailand. We have talked a lot about chicken on this show, though. But I mean, the one last thing that we do each week now, and now we have a guest we can ask about his team too, is we predict all our own and each other's NFL teams. So Denver's playing tomorrow night at New Orleans. No Chris Olave, and whoever the other receiver is, I think is Shaheed. So I'll go 21-18 Denver tomorrow.
Who are they playing? I'm sorry.
New Orleans. Nolans.
New Orleans is reeling, but Spencer Rattler looked kind of juicy last week.
I do not believe in him, but I'm going.
I don't either, but lightning in a bottle is lightning in a bottle. Is it at Denver? You said
Nolans.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
dome.
That's a tough one to play
I've
at.
seen Spencer Rattler at his best against Tennessee. I've seen him at his worst against Tennessee. So that's a tough one for me.
I'm gonna go 24-17 Denver for you, Connor. Are you a big football fan, or are you just like, all right?
I'm a big Broncos fan.
Nice.
Y'all
Okay.
are being really optimistic, and I appreciate that. That being
welcome.
said, 28-21 New Orleans.
Damn.
I think I love Bo Nix, but he has not done much for my fantasy team. So
I also got to remember they got Alvin Kamara, who's an elite running back.
Yeah.
He could easily get the run going against him.
Then Danny's Titans are at Buffalo. I'm going 40-3 Buffalo.
Oh, I didn't get my prediction.
You say 40-3? That's disrespectful.
Sorry, what's your prediction, Danny?
I'll say 31 to 14 with the Saints winning.
How about Tennessee? You gonna get the attire for our game? They're in Buffalo, buddy.
That's definitely happening. Yeah, we ain't winning this thing. That's for sure. I'm just trying to figure out how many points that they're going to score. Titans been capped off at 17. They don't get that this week. I'm thinking more like 38-7.
Well, you guys,
do the Bills have Amari Cooper this week?
Yeah, they just got him in a trade.
They probably won't get him into the game plan just yet.
It's the Titans. They can put him in.
I'll 28-10 Bills.
Well, that's generous.
Yeah, that's very generous.
52-14 Bills.
All right,
like a college score.
Houston.
Hey, again, I had to watch the Dolphins score 70 against my team last season, so anything's
watched
possible.
A legendary college game last night. MTSU Blue Raiders beat Kennesaw State Owls 14-5 last night.
Houston is heading into Green Bay.
That's gonna be a game. This is a game of the week material right here.
21-17 Texans.
What's Green Bay? They're 4-2, right? I haven't
yeah,
paid any
best
attention
division
to Green
of football.
Bay. Yeah, that's a tough one.
They're
Texans
actually
in the
tied for
worst
last
division.
in the division right now at 4-2.
That's tough.
Jordan Love's been making a few questionable mistakes.
So CJ though, he's shown cracks in the armor here and there. We don't have Nico Collins, but we got Joe Mixon back, and he showed us how valuable he was last week. So I will go. Yeah, good luck. He fumbled at the goal line against I think maybe it was the Colts, or
he's just got to get back in a KOC system. That's all.
I'm gonna go 24-20 Texans.
I'm gonna go. Wait, I'm sorry. Is it at Lambeau?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
It's only gonna be like 45. It's not that cold.
I'm gonna go Green Bay 28-25.
I'd do 23-16.
And then game of the week at noon, Detroit at Minnesota. I'm going Vikes 24-21. Aiden Hutchinson's out for the season.
Yeah, that's actually the game of the week. I didn't realize that they were playing. But yeah, no Aiden Hutchinson changes things.
5-0 versus 4-1. I think these are two of the top 3 teams in the league.
I think you're right. I
think they'll split this year too. So whichever one wins this one is losing the finale.
I'd go like 34-31. I'm going with the Lions.
The Vikings almost beat them last year with Nick Mullins. So I'm like, Sam Darnold, just don't be Nick Mullins.
Good point. But now you got me thinking about if they switch, I feel like the Lions, if they win here, they're going to do what they always do, unfortunately.
I just can't tell. Are the Lions going to come out motivated? Like, yeah, we lost our star defensive player, but we're like,
meathead
fight
coach
scrappy.
gets motivated.
Yeah, well, that's basically what he does. I mean, or are they going to be a little shell shocked still?
I am completely fine with Minnesota being overlooked. They've been overlooked all year, and it's worked out great.
Well, I think it's at some point you worry, is the juice going to run out, because they're still undefeated, right? 5-0.
5-0. Yeah, off a bye.
They're off a bye. I'll give them the win because they're off a bye. Actually, I'll go 27-21.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings on this one because they're coming off the bye, but also the Lions where I feel so much confidence after that huge win against the Cowboys. I think they might get to them a little bit when they come in there.
That was glorious.
And I'll say it like Vikings win 28-21.
I love the chat being against the Vikings. I love it. Even if they lose this week, my confidence is not shaken at all. Like,
we did get another super chat that asks, what driver gives the most mother vibes? What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
You know what? The only correct answer is Austin Cindric.
Do I need to like Urban Dictionary this? I feel old.
I need more context. Are they saying like I want my mom, or what are they asking for?
Well, well, first of all, thank God there's no woman in the Cup Series, because that'd be a really bad answer. But no, also, I think it's like who. Yeah, look up the Urban Dictionary. I feel like I understand what they're saying, but I could not put it into words.
We did get one more super chat. Once the white flag waves, the next flag ends it. Actually, we got to check the caution light. Actually, there's a delay from the time they press the button. My fiance was so confused. That's from Garabuki. Perfectly summarizes everyone's frustration and confusion at the end of that Xfinity race.
Yeah.
I don't really want to read the definition on air.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, it starts off with a woman to iconic and constantly, and then I'm not reading the rest.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not inclined to.
But we'll say Austin Hill. I don't even know what the definition is.
And then one of them is, I wish mine loved me. Then there's like actual definitions.
Well,
I'm still going Austin Cindric.
Yeah, on that beautiful note.
Should we call it, guys?
Yeah,
should we call it a night?
It's great. We'll do it live. No, yeah, we'll probably. We'll do an after show.
The fact that there are over 500 of y'all still sticking it out with us while we bumble over ourselves confused is remarkable. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. For those of you who left super chats, a huge thank you. We do really appreciate the support. Thank you to Ellie Productions for being on, spending nearly 2.5 hours of his Wednesday night with all of us. Check out his latest video. Collaborated with the great Slap Shoes on a full rundown of that glorious 1992 season. And check these guys out as well. Danny B, as always, posted some raw reaction to the Alex Bowman penalty earlier this week.
That was probably a little over exaggerated.
I
liked it.
I thought it was authentic.
Don't walk it back.
Jared, of course, streams live after every race. Truck Xfinity Cup. At some point, he's probably going to add ARCA to his repertoire at this rate. I'm not sure.
Wait, okay, the wrong way.
Yeah. That's going to do it for us here on NWP. Tune in next Wednesday. 1 week from tonight, we'll be on Danny B Talks. Link to his channel down in the description below. We'll see you then. The round of 8 for both Cup and Xfinity kicks off this weekend at Las Vegas. Have a good one, folks. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Drivers, start your engine! Keep digging. Stay in the gas.
Hang on there, baby.
Did not hit a thing.
Why you wait so long, man?
Bottom clear, chasing you down here. White flag. Hit your mark.